Here this morning for futures as we head into big earnings week. We're getting into the biggest of the big as far as earnings reports. Tesla to come. We get Alphabet later in the week. We get Intel later in the week. A number to go through this morning on the earnings front as well. That's where we're heading right now. Back to the downside ever so slightly currently, but still holding on to a nice gain yet. Domino's among those, Verizon as well out this morning with their earnings reports. We'll touch on those coming up. Just keep in mind, 10 o'clock, really the only economic number this morning that's going to matter, the Conference Board's leading index. Tomorrow, however, we do get comments from Fed Chair Powell's speech at 8:30. So right now, make sure you're with us this time tomorrow morning. We'll bring that to you. But all eyes on Tesla, all eyes on Sundar and Google to come this week to kick off big tech earnings as we head into the heart of earnings season. Huge day Friday for Tesla, gapping even higher this morning, along with some of the crypto-related names. I saw Coinbase among those back to the upside. Huge sell-off throughout the afternoon on Friday. What a wild day that was for some of these crypto-related stocks. IBIT, overall, if you just want to look at Bitcoin right now, holding on to a slight gain, but has given back that gap already. I'm just having a look. Yeah, Bitcoin kind of grinding to the downside here. Palantir to the upside. Lots to have a look at here on a Monday. Happy Monday.
It's the ETH show now, Brendo.
I guess.
Yeah, well, it's been catching a tailwind there because a lot of these stablecoins are, built on the Ethereum blockchain.
It's choking you up.
I know, right?
It's so exciting.
I'm so excited. I couldn't punch in, so now I'm just lamenting the whole thing. There's a lot to talk about today, Brendo. Block XYZ getting added to the S&P. That'll be on Wednesday, up almost 10% here to start the morning. NVIDIA, yeah, they're allowed to sell the H20 back in China. They just don't have enough of them, and Taiwan Semi can't make anymore. They've already allotted that production capacity. That's going to be a bit of a problem. Verizon also reporting good look this morning, and as you mentioned, Tesla going to report later in the week, and Microsoft, hacking, some issues there.
Yeah, a little bit of a security breach for Microsoft. We'll get into that, I'm sure. Tesla going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of people with mixed thoughts on what to expect for this. I mean, the delivery numbers have been down and will continue to be down here going forward. So, I mean, I'm not sure there's much he can say or do or talk about in this report that could
silver
offset
lining,
that.
Brendo, would probably be some good news on the robotaxi and some on Optimus as well. These higher margin products that we're expecting, because we know the car business is suffering at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, to offset that though, you know, if it comes out the other way and there's no comment, like he's been known to just not talk about certain things during earnings calls and focus on the core business. So we'll see for Tesla coming up here this week. Yeah, you mentioned this one, XYZ holding on to a nice gap after that pop on Friday after the close, going into the S&P 500 this week. Bit of a surprise, I think.
Yeah, I was surprised.
No one was really expecting that.
I love these mid-quarter additions and deletions, Brendo. When a company has been acquired, it's replacing Hess. We'll get to that on the rundown. I like them because they're kind of wild cards. You don't anticipate them.
Yeah, still well off the highs, obviously, for Block. But Jack Dorsey with a win, guys, finally. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Win for Dorsey. New flooring here in the back. So, you guys probably can't tell because it was great before, but no, it's still a little wet. It's
still wet. I mean, let's say we're going to be trading on fumes today.
No,
literally.
Okay, fine, that's true, but not the other way. But you know what's spicy, everybody? I know what we talked about. We'll talk about Block up 10%, and I know all the Robinhood shareholders are like, come on. It was supposed to be us. I know, and we know. I don't own any Robinhood, but I feel for everybody out there. But no, there was just a story on DJT. It turns out that DJT has accumulated $2 billion in Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related equities, or securities, I should say, securities. Up 3 points. That just hit at 8:30. So right as we came on, this caught a little bit of a bid. And Dragos and a few others are saying, well, Hood belongs there, not JT. What's interesting is, I was telling Obi this, when that announcement came that Block was going to go into the S&P, my first thought was, ooh, if they sell Hood off on Monday, it's going to be the easiest. Like, it was just, it's going to be the buy the dip on Robinhood if that gaps down. And then, of course, Robinhood does not, in fact, gap down. Well, doesn't matter. There's plenty to look at, whether it's in the crypto space, whether it's going to be Tesla later on this week. And certainly today, Tesla's going to be in play. Lots to watch. I'm happy. My Jays absolutely blew it out. punking the San Francisco. Had a great weekend, so it's a heck of a lot of fun. We went to the Minecraft experience on Sunday. My daughter was like losing her mind.
Where is that happening?
It's at Square One.
Okay, nice.
It's you know what? Honestly, it was a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed it. She's like, let's go again. I'm like, well, yeah, I'd probably go again. My wife's like,
You play a lot of Minecraft?
I'm not, like, I've played with her before. Like, I'm not, like, I suck at it. But, like, it's like playing the game, but not really. Like, it's an immersive experience. You go, like, room to room and do different tasks. They have, like, touch screens, and it's really cool. It's cool stuff. Like, I don't know if they have it everywhere, but it's always just good to have, you know what, you got to get out, you got to have fun. It's fun to do with my daughter. And the other thing I'm disappointed, though, is I still haven't figured out when I'm going to get to see the Superman movie, because everyone keeps telling me it's really good. And
so I told you my one of my siblings is over from Chicago this week. So they went on was it Thursday? Because I was like, oh, I got to come in on Friday. I can't go, and they're like, well, too bad for you. These guys went and watched it without me on Thursday night, and I was like, oh boy. Didn't get a chance to see it over the weekend, but I definitely want to go watch it. You know what I heard though? I heard I heard F1 is definitely worth watching in D-Box. So D-Box, for those of you who don't know, are the seats that kind of like they move along with the movie, giving you that kind of like a little bit more immersive experience. But people told me that F1 is 100% worth watching in D-Box. So that's something I want to. And the funny thing is, I looked up D-Box bookings for F1. All the good seats until next week across all the theaters are pretty much gone.
You seen this F1 yet?
Oof.
Oh, trailer.
Oh, the trailer, yeah, I've seen the trailer. Looks spicy. Looks good, man.
Looks good, yeah. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. Appreciate the coffee, brother.
Nothing but XYZ. Block getting added to the S&P 500.
Instead of, well, everyone
Instead of
expected
everybody
Robinhood.
else.
Everyone expected Robinhood. And it's going to be Block instead.
Yeah.
That might be your last coffee. We got a little bit of water.
Oh, that's right. We didn't say anything, yeah.
So a fly fell into my coffee literally as I was about to pick it up and eat it. Nice, drink it.
Is he doing the backstroke?
I just picked them up and put them on the side because I was like,
That's flavor.
It's
they're shutting the water off here in about half an hour.
Oh boy.
But the water tank in the coffee maker is full.
So we have coffee.
We got coffee.
Maybe we'll do a Tim's run.
Yeah.
Done.
Add me a Tim's.
How'd you at Apple fritters?
Not necessarily about the coffee
you
with
at a fritter?
Tim's, but
Yeah, I know what you want.
you know. Appreciate it, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Yeah, no.
Oh, by the way, everybody, Obi's 25 now.
Yeah.
His birthday on Saturday. So if you weren't here on Friday, everyone wish a happy belated birthday to Obi.
Why you gotta do that, man?
What?
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Thank you. It's done. It's gone. We're over it. It's not like
That's fine.
Finished.
I just can't believe you wanted to go see Superman and your peeps decided to go without you on your birthday weekend.
No, yeah, because they were like, "Are you?" Because she has a limited. My sister has a limited time here. She's leaving actually, we're leaving to Chicago together tomorrow.
Nice.
Afterwards. So she was like, "I have limited time here. I just need to get some things done." And some of her friends were coming too. So I was like, "You guys go ahead. I don't have to be there, but I'll definitely be watching." Okay. But right now, I'm definitely watching XYZ off of the open, Coinbase Hood. We know some of these quantum names as well, not QS right now, but IONQ, and we had the Rigetti move. So IONQ, strong move prior day. In the pre-market, already clipping prior day's highs with the 4 a.m. candle and catching a little bit of a bid above the close. I like that. I'm watching it for a potential continuation. And then Rigetti as well, RGTI, this whole sector kind of pushing, and wow, look at that, poised for a bit of a breakup, a little bit of a consolidation coming in. Strong close into the end of the week after that Wednesday push, but yeah, we're going to be watching some of these quantum names as well. I heard some chatter about QS as well. Yeah, there you go, a little bit of a push on QuantumScape at the same time, and of course, IBM and Honeywell, remember last week? Yeah, look at that strength that came in. I'm just remembering this as I'm saying it out loud, that IBM also caught a bit of a bid here. And don't forget, this is also part of that quantum sector. So we got quite a few names this week. Tesla as well. I go, again, Webull, that was one we were missing. So Webull, another one. This one I think had an offering. So let's see how well they stand up. But another strong closer into the end of last week. I'm going to see if that bid continues going into this week as well. So what I'm looking for.
Offering for Webull brought them down a little bit,
little
for
bit.
sure. I'm a Rigetti guy this week.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Look, which we learned the lesson.
Yeah, we talked about
with
that.
the quantum names, and I think you have to be willing to go wherever the strength is going to be. I just feel like Rigetti triple top for the last 3 days of set for the last 3 days, and a chance to break it out right here. But remember, we saw this with, it was QBTS, I believe, on Tuesday, like where it was a strong one day. It was Rigetti, then QBTS, and then IonQ. Like they spent different days being the one that was the super strong one, and this did absolutely nothing. QUBT, QBTS was another one. This was the one that was the strongest first, I think, in the week. And then it sat it out, and today it's trying to go. You could almost pick and choose any of them. QBTS breakout almost looks similar to Rigetti's up here at $19.50. So Quantum's going to be in play, no question. QBTS also on the daily. $20 on this stock is going to be spicy. And I say when it gets there. I don't think it's a matter of if at this particular point. So lots of action to watch, everybody, whether you like Quantum, whether you like crypto. There's tons in the crypto space and a heck of a lot more. We got the watch list out for you. We should have Michael Noss coming on through as well because it's a Monday morning, and we look forward to seeing what he has to say. Certainly, I know that's a gentleman that will be happy about the crypto move we've been having. But it's all about ETH, baby. It's all about ETH.
Just keep my eye on Apple here. A bit of a downtick right now, but just keep in mind Apple up nicely here in the pre-market. There was a note out early on. 16 to 17% of global iPhone sales now coming out of India.
Really?
16 to 17%. That seems higher than I would have pegged at this point.
Well, that's great and all, Brendo, but all the components that are being assembled in India are still being made in China. That's something Joseph and I have really gone into on the midday show, and that's kind of why I've been a little bit bearish. Despite the fact that it's my biggest position and continues to be my biggest position, I kind of feel that decoupling from China in the actual component manufacturing, a lot easier said than done. And not just because it's hard to set up the infrastructure, the technical expertise to make a lot of these products doesn't exist in India.
Yeah.
It exists in China. So
if they could get a headline that doesn't include China, then I guess it's a win for Apple. But a couple of weeks to go here for Apple. As mentioned, Michael Noss standing by here on a Monday morning to get us going. A lot to consider here, Michael Noss. I was just noticing as well, yields down across the board. We were talking about that a little bit on Friday, also helping this move to the upside ahead of. I don't really know what to expect from this earnings season. I mean, from a technical standpoint, all of these stocks, as we've been talking about, so extended at this point. Some of them, however, the Apples of the world, as we were just talking about, need to play a little bit of catch up.
Yeah, and I think rates, I think you're right to point that out. I think rates are everything right now. I'm just looking at the TNX on my screen here, down 1.44%, which is pretty big, because we know that that's kind of the tail that wags the dog, that every time we've gotten up to kind of 4.5, 4.6 in the 10-year rates, that's when there's been kind of a back off of tariffs and things like that. Because, I remember I gave a presentation here just talking about how people don't understand how big the bond market is. It's in the quadrillions. It's way, way bigger than the overall world stock market. So I think that has to continue to be our focus. The more that comes down on its own, I think the less you get a fight with J-Pow and Trump and all of that, and the more calmer the market can be. So rates here are super important. And like we've talked about, really important for biotechs, for regional banks, for a lot of these small cap players, which I like to trade. So I'm excited that if we're going to get this continued bleed in rates, it should be good for those smaller sectors. All
right. You brought an interesting question along with you this morning on the quant side of things, talking specifically about from a short-term time frame. I hate labeling it with that day trader term, but if you're, an intraday type of trader, or maybe 1 or 2 days, lengthwise as far as how long you're holding, give us an overview here as far as how you approach things.
Well, and I think this first tweet, this is kind of the tweet that I kind of retweeted and said, hey, us quants, we're going to win this day when this happens. And, you were saying you don't like the term kind of day trader, and I think that term's going to be completely obliterated soon. So essentially the tweet just talks about how more and more across the world exchanges are applying for longer sessions or 24-hour sessions, some 24/7 sessions, which would be, the way crypto trades all the time. And I think it's absolutely going to happen. I think that's going to blur the line between, what's a day trade, what's a swing trade, what's this. And I think more important than anything, it's important to start thinking about, even if you're not interested in doing now, how to approach the market in more of a kind of a systematic, quantitative type way when it comes to this short-term trading. Because right now we have this kind of arbitrary point in time where we say, okay, we have to close all our positions by here. It won't happen overnight, but I think slowly over time, we are going to start to push towards this kind of 24-hour market where it's just going to be about trades. It's not going to be about day trades or swing trades or investments. These are the day trading systems that we have over at Stats Edge Trading. I just wanted to show that, right, if you look at the overall chart, it looks very smooth, it looks very nice, but then I quickly wanted to go to the next chart, which shows how we are able to do that. So each of these, it's a spaghetti chart, so it's a bit ugly, but each of the colored lines are an individual strategy that we run. And you can see sometimes they're all working great. Sometimes they are completely, one or two of them is kind of just completely weighing us down and falling apart. But the gray shaded area is the combined amount of strategies. So this is more or less how a quant looks at the short-term market and how we are going to end up, I think, doing very well. Is because all of this, at the end of every day, I have every trade that I could potentially take the next day. I can set alerts, I can put out orders, I can trade it however I want. But I'm not really kind of hunting and pecking so much intraday anymore, because I know that if I stick to these strategies with, this is a 25-year backtest, then over time, right, this should be the return that I end up getting. And the point of this is just to say that if you have a system right now, and a lot of the conversation I had over the weekend when I kind of highlighted that tweet was saying, okay, well, what will happen to gaps? Because they won't exist anymore. There's no gaps in the currency or the crypto markets right now. What will happen to, when it comes to earnings? Well, earnings won't be happening after hours anymore. It will just be hours. It will just be during the day. So in these scenarios, you have to come up with some sort of framework like this, some sort of plan where you're able to not only decide when and where you're going to exit well ahead of time, but have a test for it and have that confidence, because at some point, you're going to have to be trading kind of while you sleep, because, if NVIDIA is going to start reporting earnings at 3 in the morning, you're going to get burnt out really, really quickly being in the market super early and then being in the market super late. We're all not just going to meet at these times in which there's an open and a close. And again, I want to just kind of prep everybody for this now, because it's not going to be tomorrow. Probably isn't even going to be in a year. But now that we're seeing this, I would say in 2-3 years' time, it's going to be this 24/7. So as always, I'm going to bring you guys some ideas and some examples from 2 of the setups that we have, again, to start you guys thinking a little bit more about this. So what we end up doing is I have no idea what's going to trigger, because again, I'm running all these the night before. I ran all these on Friday night. So I have no idea where the price is going to open up on Monday. I have no idea what if we're going to hit the triggers. So what we end up doing is we look at a lot of symbols. There's generally around 40 that we look at each day, potential trade ideas. Now, you can set alerts for them. So I'm not looking at 40 charts at once. I'm only being alerted when they triggered. You could set the orders out for them in advance when they hit there. But this is just one idea of how you can use kind of a daily chart, a long-term chart for day trading, so that you can, again, set these orders in advance. So this was CRC yesterday. This is a resource company. And what we're looking for when we're running our data in this particular setup is a massive move yesterday that potentially could come in today. And we see that from kind of the topping tail that happened yesterday. So we decide our point of entry using this candle the day before. And we do so looking at the next chart here, which is the intraday chart, the 15-minute chart. So we already know that this particular strategy has been tested over 10,000 trades over 25 years. It's not going to be right every time by any means. It has around a 51% win rate. And when you're right, you make about 3%. When you're wrong, you lose about 2.5%. you can see those are very thin margins of win rates. These aren't, I'm going to make 1,000,000% a year and have a Lambo and all of this. But the idea is if you have unused capital, slowly over time, a setup like this will make money. So we will set out 10 or 15 of these orders and say, if we can get roughly halfway into yesterday's range, then we are going to look to buy there. We're going to put a stop at the low of yesterday's range, and we're going to sell it at the close. And again, we do that many, many times throughout the day, again, exploiting that very small edge we have. Next chart here is simply one that's a revision to the mean play. So SRPT had really bad news yesterday. You can see the massive down candle into new lows, maybe all-time lows, and a big red bar yesterday. Well, based off of our studies, if we get an overextension move based off ATR on this one, and that sits around roughly, I think it's $11, give or take today, then we know we have, I think this one's about a 55% accuracy with about the same 1.5 R kind of return. That's great. But you can see how I have no idea if these stocks are going to get to these prices. But if they do, again, I could have an order out, a limit out already. I could have an alert set. I could do something like that where once a day I'm setting all of these either orders or alerts in the market. I'm not glued to watching when and if these things occur, so that I could systematize this entry and exit and do all of this based off daily charts and again exploit a slight edge, very, very small, over and over and over again. You're talking 5, 10, 20 trades potentially every day, again exploiting that small edge. So just again, something to think about. I just kind of want to start probing people periodically, saying, hey, the day trading market is going to change pretty dramatically coming up soon, because I think what's going to happen for the more discretionary trader is you're not going to be trading based off of a 9:30 open and a 4 o'clock close. You're going to be trading based off of news events. So if you can systematize your trading in some way based around those news events, have orders set up, have alerts set up and ready to go, I think you're going to be way better off trading. I think the person who's going to start trading at 3 in the morning and then try to trade till 8, 9 at night, they're going to be grayer than I am pretty quickly.
I think I'll go even further. You mentioned maybe 2, maybe 3 years out before we see this. I would be surprised if there wasn't some form of what you're talking about by the first quarter of next year. In that much of a hurry even. And the one good thing about all of this happening in such a hurry is it gives us a reason to be here with you as long as the market is open. So expect that to come as well. A lot of great information there, a lot covered in that talk there, Michael Noss. At Michael Noss CMT over on X. If anybody has any questions, go hit him up. Very active on X. Have a great Monday, sir. We'll see you after the close.
I'll see you after the close.
Thank you, Michael. And important points. When Michael talks about the burnout of trying to go 24 hours, I can tell you for an absolute fact, when it was years ago when the firm here first got European trading, and it was specifically in the London markets. And it turned out like the open London, and anybody that's ever traded the open in Europe, you probably know this, but the open at London was just one of the coolest opportunities for like just clean momentum breakout trades. If you got the right way, you were just good, and you'd make your morning in the first 10, 15 minutes. And so there were a lot of traders that, and us included, we'd open our floor up. We had this whole master plan that we would trade the European Open, and then you'd come in, trade the European Open, and go home, get a little bit of sleep, and then come back and trade the day. It lasted about a week. And after a week, we realized we couldn't do it, and we just couldn't pull it off. So you want to have something in place, because you can't, when the market goes 24 hours, you want to have something systematic, because you don't want to get stopped out terribly. You want to make sure you're still getting good executions. But on one of the stock-specific names that was mentioned, there's no way we're not looking at Sarepta today. It's been a wild from, hey, we're cutting jobs, to we're refusing an FDA request to stop. Ooh. It doesn't matter what Sarepta. No, Sarepta. I'm looking short on Sarepta, but it doesn't even matter when Randy's coming with goodies. Timbits, an apple fritter.
Wow.
Which I'm gonna make. I'm gonna not eat it right here, right now, in front of you. Well, I'm gonna wait until Well, the camera's off me, and then I'm going to wolf it down.
It never works, you know that.
Thank you.
Oh, it'll work.
They always come back to you when you're eating.
Oh, it'll work. This time, I'm going to eat this whole thing, and you're not going to see it. Why? Because I'm going to go to upgrades and downgrades, and we'll be at the screen, seeing who upgraded who, and then I can eat my apple fritter.
Morgan Stanley here weighing in on some of these app and tech-related plays. Etsy and Pinterest both getting the nod from Morgan Stanley. You can read more about the Pinterest upgrade on our Trader TV Live watch list. Dollar Tree actually up 2.5% with a Barclays upgrade, and Robert W. Baird upgrading Block or XYZ this morning. Of course, as we know, Block was kind of shockingly added to the S&P 500. They'll be trading with the index as of Wednesday morning. I guess the index once again overlooking the likes of Robinhood and AppLovin. The downgrade side of things, Neil just talked about this name a little bit, Sarepta Therapeutics, another name you could read more about on our Trader TV Live watch list. But they're going to get JP Morgan Chase downgrade today. Lots of, I guess right now, headwinds involving this name. Then you have Autoliv. Looks like up on the day right now, but getting a Robert W. Baird downgrade. United Airlines, they reported earnings yesterday. They're going to be, or sorry, not yesterday, last week. They're going to be getting a downgrade today from TD Cowen. And last but not least, Target with a downgrade from Barclays and a price target of $91. Back to you.
Thank you very much. See that Neil is busy with his with the apple fritter. How's that? Did you just finish that apple fritter?
It's like half, maybe.
Dude,
maybe, okay,
you inhaled that apple fritter was inhaled.
A little more than half. A little more than half. Bruh. It was delicious. We're getting these Timbits away from me. I don't want to eat those too. Which one of the? Obviously, we know Sarepta we're going to look at.
Yeah.
So Block goes without saying.
Oh, of course.
But any of those outside of those two catch your interest? Because I see we have the same screen up.
It looks like the market's getting hit with a block right now. Aggressive selling to the downside going into 9 o'clock. But out of those names, I like Pinterest. Pinterest gapping up, a little bit of an upgrade there, and gapping up above this strong consolidation that we've been having over the, I guess, decent chunk of July and a good chunk of June as well. So the past couple of month and a half, roughly. Let's go to a higher time frame and you see where we're actually coming into and get a lay of the land. $40 right here, a little bit of a resistance, and 43 high from prior earnings, not the previous earnings, but earnings report from February, so Q4 of last year earnings report. That's coming in. Let's see if this gap up and the Pinterest upgrade can take us to 40, only about $1 away, breaking out of a multi-month consolidation here on Pinterest. So I like that right away. And we're catching tailwind off of this prior earnings as well. Gap up, holding, stair-stepping up. I think everything about this chart looks relatively healthy in the shorter term for an extended up move. Let's see if that actually comes into fruition off the open. So out of those names, Neil, I like Pinterest.
Yeah, I had the same one. I think, like, obviously we'll talk about the other two. They're going to be Sarepta, no question, and Block, certainly with the S&P 500 inclusion, which, by the way, is going to be Wednesday, which means tomorrow night just got a little more interesting when it comes to the close for Block. But I can't even say I have much to add with regards to pins. And it's a tradable stock. Like, this is something like in the days that it's in play, whether it's earnings, usually it's earnings, or in this particular case, an upgrade. It's kind of an all systems go. I don't know. Look, I don't know if we play at any point back into prior resistance. That feels a little bit far away. But when you want the continuation long, it's going to have to be like trend joining. If you can catch like VWAP or something along those lines. It looks like Verizon's selling on the conference call.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Unfortunately,
this is disappointing. Yeah. That's disappointing. Verizon looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. When at a company, if a company reports in the AM, remember, no matter what has happened up until that point, A, it's on pre-market volume, and then B, the conference call is likely to happen before the open. So unfortunately, here for Verizon, they must not like what they are hearing on the call. You've lost the 200-period moving average. You're right back into some key support at 41.5. But this seemed like it was going to be a breakaway play if it could have gone through 43. I don't want to scratch this off my list, but certainly going to have to look for something different here on Verizon as the Christmas tree retracement has come in on the call. A lot to get to still. Of course, we're going to go through the watch list, and we're going to thank Randy for the treats.
Yeah, there was only two of them. I got one, you got one. Yeah.
Joe,
Chocolate hot demand.
Joe doesn't want Timbits either.
Don't worry, it's not pie flavored, bro.
Well, do you eat Timbits? You eat Timbits though. Oh, but he does eat them.
Yeah,
It's cookies and pie that you don't eat. So Joe is saying if he gets a donut, he wants Farm Boy. Fair enough.
They make their own in-house?
Those are legit. Those are legit.
Oh,
I'm gonna get a mic on this dude.
Right,
like, no, Farm Boy's legit.
All right.
Let's go back up to the desk. We've got to see what the futures are doing and get into the watch list, everybody. And I want to eat more fritter, too. That's the other part.
Not brought to you by Tim Hortons, but
Not at all, Brendo.
that would be good.
It does look good, though.
Yeah, go for it.
63.35, guys. That's where we closed out Friday on the ES September contract. We are still locked in that range, guys, that we've been talking about. I think for the last couple of weeks, 6,300 as support. In fact, 63.29 is the overnight low. Was that with that same area, 63.54 as resistance? That's the overnight high. So we'll say 6,300 as support, 63.50, Brendo, as resistance.
As always, if you haven't done so yet, take a couple seconds here. Jump down to the description of this video. Top link in the description will get you to that page. All you need is your email address to sign up for the watch list. Has absolutely everything on it that you need to know in the pre-market every single day, moving around and why. Just keep my eye on DJT here. Is starting to go again. A little bit of volume coming back into DJT, holding 20 bucks, which is kind of interesting. If you zoom out, you'll see why. 2 billion they've reached in their Bitcoin-related purchases for their treasury. So just keep that in mind for DJT today. One of those stocks that can get going if it really wants to, as we all know. Let's talk XYZ, Jack Dorsey's block going into the S&P 500, catching most, I think. Off guard here, wasn't expected.
Certainly myself included in that, Brendo. So yeah, shares jumped almost 10% here to start the morning after news of its inclusion in the S&P, replacing Hess Corporation, guys, following the merger last week with Chevron. We know that, Exxon and Chevron are going back and forth for who gets the majority. We already know that that's been done. The inclusion boosts, Brendo, the institutional interest as index funds are required to buy. JP Morgan here is estimating about 54.2 million shares could be added via index fund additions, so keep your eye on that. The change reflects takes effect, Wednesday as per the S&P Dow Jones indices. It marks major milestones for the fintech sector, highlighting how digital payments and financial apps have really kind of gone mainstream, and it validates Block's evolution from Square into a broader blockchain company, with obviously adding Bitcoin onto its balance sheet. JP Morgan says Block deserves a higher multiple, Brendo, due to strong product momentum and marketing success, and sees the inclusion certainly as a catalyst, and it sits at the convergence of traditional finance and crypto, offering, as I always tell you, my brother-in-law swears up and down by this thing, retail POS systems as well as Bitcoin services.
Yeah, like the smaller retail situations. My barber uses it as well, and same thing, swears by it. Just the remote ability of it, walking over to the customer instead of them coming to you. That being said, guys, in the past we've seen these types of events used for people to take some profits, typically.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen it with Datadog was the most recent one. I'd say the biggest drop was obviously Datadog in terms of what happened. Like, it gapped up and then spent every single day, which was only a week, trying to get back to where it gapped. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw something like this for a block. Like, as a matter of fact, like, my first reaction to this was to buy. Like, I thought because Robinhood didn't get in, it was going to be an easy dip buy on Robinhood if for whatever reason Robinhood was down on this news, but that did not happen. You have to go to a different time frame to be able to see sort of what we're dealing with. Go to a weekly chart here, because our daily chart, once they change the symbol, gets kind of funky for us. If you go out to a weekly, you can see like there was a prior support at about 80 to 81 right in here that lost it earlier in the year. So it's a clear resistance spot at the 81 for me. And as long as we are underneath that, like, you got to break away from 81 to convince me we're not data-dogging it and filling in the gap. So it's got to get through that $81 level. Otherwise, I think we're looking for some pullback here on XYZ. Tomorrow at the close, it's a New York stock, which is good. That means we'll see some early look imbalance data. We'll get an idea of how it's playing out. Until then, I'm going to try to follow the Datadog pattern.
Yeah, no, I think the last name, yeah, Datadog was big, but remember Trade Desk as well.
Oh,
Trade Desk was the one that was slightly distinctly different, gapping up. I remember this just from last week. I was like, all right, S&P 500 ad, let's see what kind of opportunities come in. And oh boy, was the short off of the open absolutely beautiful as well, kind of creeping a little bit lower past some of these pre-market and after hours supports, and then cracking them pretty aggressively going into the trading day as well. And that was Trade Desk. So that was an S&P 500 ad from last week. And then XYZ today, definitely one of the top names on the list. So the first thing I'm going to do here, Neil, is shout out to Mr. Brian Shannon once again for introducing me to the anchored VWAP concept. So right here, so anchored VWAP, holding it pretty interestingly, a bit of a anchored VWAP orbit happening in the pre-market, so just churning in and around some of that core, it would seem. Pre-market or after hours highs from yesterday, 81.45, and then some of those lows from the pre-market coming in 88.50. So now that range has been defined, we're pretty tight coming into the open, even with the volume increasing and the relative volume coming in at about 15 to 16 times daily traded volume in the pre-market. You can see we're holding this about $1 range. So I think that's going to be interesting coming in off the open, what we do with that range, and if we have market tailwind as well. But definitely the block is hot today, Neil.
Block is hot. And the apple fritter's gone.
Tesla and Google coming up this week. We're getting into the heart of earnings season, or big tech earnings season anyway. Big day on Friday, remember, for Tesla. We are coming back into what has been support so far this morning. Can't believe this thing's back to 335 already for Tesla. We'll see how the report goes. One of those could be up 10% or down 10%, I think.
You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, this is the most volatile by far of the Mag 7, and we'll see how it does. Bank of America today giving them the nod, Brendo. Price target increased to 341 from 305, really citing higher cash reserves. Don't forget, Tesla does report this week, and here's what Wall Street is expecting, guys. We're expecting about 39 cents earnings per share on revenue of $25.6 billion. Just to give you an idea, they posted 52 cents per share on revenue of $25.5 billion. That was back in Q4 of last year. One thing to keep an eye out, obviously, what moves the needle least initially will be vehicle deliveries and whether it aligns with expectations. Deliveries last quarter were 443,956 units, and that was down 13.5% year over year on the quarter, so it was a miss, obviously. And Baird's Ben Callow is cautious. He sees downside risk, especially to full year estimates due to slower rollout of the lower cost EVs and the expiry, Brendo, of the U.S. federal EV tax credits. Bank of America warns that tariffs may weigh on margins, especially for energy storage, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And last but not least, the loss of federal EV tax credits could impact Q3 and Q4 demand, and Bank of America expects certainly Q4 pullback. And just to give an idea, Tesla sold $955 million worth of EV tax credits in Q2, but key California waivers could affect this, so we'll be on the lookout for that. That'll eat into margins.
On the Google side of things, not as exciting on Friday. We are seeing this nice gap holding so far this morning. Just keep in mind the Pixel event coming up in August, later on in August 20th, so still some time to go, but we'll hear about that too.
First, can we just thank Eddie Sarkeesian in the chat for the super chat here. Somebody get some coffee, he says. I know we both got our coffees locked and loaded. Yours has a little bit of extra protein.
Oh, I changed mine already.
You got a new one?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I threw the protein out and got a fresh one, so we're good.
Well, Tesla's fresh, and earnings later on this week. We still have to, we'll navigate those when we get to them. We already had some disappointing sales earlier on in the year that we're going through, but then you get the positive catalyst of Elon not saying anything controversial in the last couple of days, which I guess is good. And of course, like, it's all about automation, robotaxi. We're talking about automation, Obi and myself, like what it means for the world, just as we were prepping for the show, and it's a big deal. But that's another story. What's interesting to me are two things. I think we like different resistance spots this week, but that's fine. The 50 period and the 200 period got held going into earnings, and there's this little resistance at 330 to 331, which held on Friday. So I want to play this. The short is about 40 to 45 for me, but what's closer is the prior highs. So it's the close at 330, which sets up like a 29 to 31 reversion area for myself on Tesla. It gave you some good dip buys into the prior high. Like basically it was a dip buy into the prior high on Friday. So I'm looking for the same thing here on Tesla. And it's not Google that I'm looking at. I know Google's on the list, and Alphabet later on this week, obviously their earnings are going to matter, certainly had a strong week. But it was Amazon, Obi. Amazon had a wall on Friday the entire day up until the imbalances came out and it printed the 226 through. If you were watching the afternoon show, then you know there was a brick wall seller on Amazon at 226, and we're now gapped above it, so with a little bit of overhead resistance. So I just want, it's over under 226 on this play. Obviously, there's no catalyst to it in particular, but instead of looking at Google, obviously Tesla is going to be involved for me today for sure, looking for that dip, 329 to 31, but over under Amazon 226 just simply means if the seller reemerges and I see resistance there again, I'm selling in front of it. If we hold above, then I'm looking long into this breakout. Anytime we see something like that, for as long as we did in the afternoon, that price becomes significant.
Yeah, Neil, I definitely like Google a lot. As you can see here from my chart, which is so easy to read. Again, something that I like is when price reclaims a bunch of anchors. So yeah, there's a lot of mess here, a lot of anchors that are just pinned to a bunch of events that Google may have had over the past few months to a year. And you can see that it's reclaimed all of them, kind of accelerating to the upside now. So taking all of those off so we can see a little bit more clearly. Higher highs and higher lows, Neil, and every week it seems like we're printing some fresh highs. So yeah, coming into some of these levels from earlier on this year, again, February, strong quadunk from those 209.03 highs on Google. It's coming right back up into some of those levels. So I'm definitely watching it pretty much every day. We've seen over the past couple of weeks, or I've noticed it's had some aggressive strength coming in the opening session. Sure, it dissipates by midday to end of day a lot of the time, but that strength just stepping up higher and higher on Google. So I really like that. Let's look for a continuation coming into the day today with a bit of a gap up above prior day's levels. Still hasn't broken prior day's high with any sort of distinction, but definitely going to be on watch. Tesla as well, of course, gapping up. Prior day's highs coming in at 330.90. So the question becomes, are we going to break this really tight pre-market range, or are we going to do a bit of a gap fill and reversion back into yesterday's areas? I have both those questions at the front of my mind, but let's see what the market shows us. Let's see what Tesla actually does off the open. Bigger picture, though, we have been kind of bidding up over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and before we go back to the desk, we got a couple more super chats here. Shane D says, don't sleep on PMN and Energy Fuels as well. I have LMFA up, Bitcoin Treasury name, but don't remember what it is else that they do, but look, appreciate both super chats. Certainly can go over LMFA. This one's gapping with the group. I understand, look, ETH is doing way better than Bitcoin, so you'd expect those types of names to be moving a little bit more, but it's all about the squeeze potential when you look at it. What I would be at least remotely concerned about is A, the last time it was remotely in this range, we pulled back pretty heavily. B, Bitcoin is not really doing anything still at the 118 level, which is more or less where we left you guys on Friday. So I think you could run out of juice if you retest that $5 area. That's the first thing of concern for me. When it comes to energy fuels, really low volume, Did I say enough U's? I think I did. Really low volume pre-market, but it's a nice trend trade. And what's interesting about it, and we've talked about this before, when you get these nice rallies, sometimes you have that consolidation day, right? Like a rally consolidation type day where you stay inside and you don't really break out the high and you look for that continuation. Sometimes it's the day after, but in the afternoon is the last time it did it. Currently, it's gapped above that resistance, so maybe it's trying to do it now. This is the confirmation day that you're not in that consolidation still for these stocks. And we've seen them sometimes sit it out for 2 or 3 days in a row and then resume. But this is a big day. It's gapped up, but on absolutely no relative volume pre-market. So I'd be a little bit cautious. I do like the trend that you see here. It is pretty extended. Just you want a confirmation day today here on UUUU. And I'm more interested in the more traditional equity names in the crypto space for sure. One of which, boo, Webull, back down.
Ugly here. To start things off, if you were paying attention after the close on Friday, that happened in a hurry after a huge run up into 17 bucks, where we almost closed at 17 on Friday. After the close, they come out with this 75.16 million share offering. Takes this thing right back to 15 and change here today.
Yeah, and there's not much more to add other than what you just said there, Brendo. Kind of very lightly reported about what it's going to be used for or any of the details. But I'm sure the boys will have a look at this. But I just wanted to really point out that bull defended the hell out of $10 all of June. Really didn't break below that level. And don't forget that this one was a SPAC prior to de-SPACing in early April. So keep your eye on that $10 area. But 75,159,236 shares, ordinary stock offering by selling shareholder.
Definitely one that could see lower prices today, guys.
True, but like any day after the offering, the first thing I want to see is what happens when money comes. You know it's going to be gap down, right? Like we know the gap down, we know the selling that happens in this particular situation, but it's what happens at the open when money starts to come right back into it. Like, do we see what we had on Friday, where immediately there's buying and stair step up, and I'm just a joiner at that point, or are we waiting this thing out till a key level in the mid 13s? So I think this is a stand away from it. If it breaks 15 bucks, then it will be down SSR and down over 10%, and I'll just be looking for the turn. Maybe it's a little bit closer to 1380, 14 if we fill in the whole gap. Maybe it's prior support there at 14.5. But it's hands off for me at the open. I think the swing is still just fine for all of our buyers down there in front of the $10 level that we liked before. Look, taking some profit out when it gives you a 50% return or something like that, or 40% makes sense. I know I took some out, but I'm just looking for a place to jump back in. And day one after the earnings, to jump back into the swing doesn't make any sense. It's not really down all that much relative to where it came from. So I'm not really panicking on the swing trade. As a matter of fact, I'm still looking for a place to be an adder. It's just going to have to be a little bit, I shouldn't say a little bit, significantly lower than where we are. Like I'll day trade a reversion if we get down testing, that 14.5 or the 13.5 area. But as far as the swing goes, I'll sit it out a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look on Webull. We did get an aggressive sell off of the offering there, but something interesting I do want to know is I think the question that you just asked is when did this move kind of start as of recent? And I think right here, sure, we started a couple of weeks ago, but the bid that came in going into Friday started relatively, I would say around Wednesday. You can see some selling coming in and then buying picking back up on Wednesday for a strong push. Sure, you can anchor to the beginning of the week as well, but I'm just going to be like, all right, this is where buyers kind of came in on Wednesday, and we extended off of these areas in the next 2 days as well. So coming back in, Neil, I'm going to be looking at this $14.78 area, well within range of prior days prices as well. So if we can see, if I'm looking for buyers, I think I want to look at this area. If they do come in around there, then I will have stronger confluence for a potential continuation of the bid that we saw coming in into the end of last week. So that's what I have for Webull. Didn't really expect that offering to come in, but it is what it is. Let's see if we can get a bit of backside move as well, see if that selling continues. But like Neil said, I want to know if that bid is still long and strong, and we have some levels there that'll define where we can potentially take a look as well. So Webull, yes.
All right, CoreWeave, another one downside here this morning. I was just keeping my eye on Tesla here. Just first off, Piper Sandler reiterating their overweight on Tesla, $400 price target this morning for that. So a little bit more positivity ahead of their earnings report. Let's go to CRWV. Nice bounce back above 126 off of what happened. both Thursday and Friday, notably weak, especially on Friday. Versus the overall market here, but another note for CoreWeave today.
Yep, definitely announcing a $1.5 billion senior note offering. Brendo, they plan it's going to be due in 2031 via private offering and subject to market conditions. It's going to be issued on a senior unsecured basis and guaranteed by certain wholly owned subsidiaries of the company. So they're guaranteeing some of their actual companies that they own. The proceeds from the offering will be used for general corporate purposes, including repayment of outstanding debt, fees, costs, and expenses associated with the issues. And the offering is available only to qualified institutional buyers under Rule 144A or non-U.S. persons under Regulation S. Got to look into what that means. The notes are not registered, Brendo, under the U.S. Securities Act, meaning they cannot be sold to the public without specific exemptions. So a little illiquid.
Yeah, it's been, I was just going to zoom out here a little bit. It's been a tough couple of months here. There we go. On the daily chart, if you go to a higher time frame, this thing's from 188, 187, all the way down to 120. We're trying to bounce here this morning, guys. But I mean, it ran up a long, long way. So definitely due for some sort of pullback, maybe a consolidation.
Yeah, I think so. And look, benefiting obviously by some of the growth that we've seen by NVIDIA, but it's been a while since this was in its upward trend, relatively speaking. Like I guess it hasn't been that long because we're really just talking about 1 month of it making the high and then pulling back. But every single bounce has been rejected, including breaking the support here from mid-July. So I paid for locates this morning. I think we all have actually to be able to short this name. A continuation on trend is a lot of things. Like it's already at first resistance at 127. And it's trending into it. So just the notion of sitting there at the open doesn't really appeal to me as much. And then the next level, which is somewhat obvious, is about a 131. Those are the places I'm going to look for a bit of a mean reversion on CoreWeave. And when this thing has broken trend on the way up, it's been so good. Like when you're looking at things like these are the entries I like. Maybe you can get a double top too, like into your level. But if we do a trend break, that's a sharp one that happened. It's not always just going to fall all over itself. So as this one pops up, obvious level here about 131, and then we're at the 27. So any mean reversion that happens within that range, I'm all over it on CoreWeave.
Yeah, I like the look on CoreWeave, but before that, big news for Vietnam's green mobility shift and a major win for VinFast. That's the Nasdaq ticker VFS. Starting July 1st, 2026, Hanoi will ban gas-powered motorcycles in its city center, kicking off a nationwide move towards electric transport. VinFast is in prime position to benefit. With major investments in EV tech, battery production, and charging networks, it has a strong head start. While others scramble, VinFast is ready, and this policy only sharpens its edge. So check out our friends at VinFast. So yeah, CoreWeave, Neil, I like that. A little bit of a pullback as well. We've broken some of these, some of the strength that we've been getting from the beginning of May. You can see here. So CoreWeave on a bit of a pullback down, lower highs and lower lows as well. Are we going to see more of the same? If you guys saw, I did have a bit of trend resistance that's been holding quite well on CoreWeave. Let's see if we can find some sellers in and around these areas, and they continue to step it down a little bit there. I also have the IPO VWAP, anchored VWAP right here in orange or gold, whatever you want to call it, at 107.40. So still about $20 away from there. So again, we've got a couple of defined points on CoreWeave. Let's see if we see more of the same that we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks. Sure, the sell doesn't come in every single day, but I think if it can get up into some of these trend resistance areas, let's look to see if sellers step right back in, carrying it a little bit lower. Yes, it is very much up from all the way from, what was it, a low of 33.52 and a high of 188. I think Brendo's definitely right on this one, looking for a bit of a breather if it's going to continue.
Let's wrap things up here with Pinterest daily chart. First off, looking pretty good. Continuing to march higher here. We're getting this nice gap up today on this note from Morgan.
Yeah, good upgrade here from Morgan Brendo, as you mentioned, boosting the price target from 37 to 45, and upgrading it from equal weight to overweight implies about a 25% upside from where we close out on Friday, and it kind of reflects confidence in the accelerating growth and the margin expansion. They've returned about 28% year to date, so it's kind of a good investment so far. Morgan Stanley models about 17 to 18% year-over-year revenue growth in the second half of 2025, outpacing the street by about 4% for all of full year 2026, so be on the lookout for that. Gross margin sits at about 80%, a little bit less, with a trailing 12-month revenue growth at 17.8%, and Morgan expects a Q2 beat and a strong Q3 guidance, highlighting faster top-line acceleration.
If there is a trade, it's pretty thin here, guys, this morning as far as liquidity goes. But I mean, if there is a trade, maybe downside as well.
Oh, pins could fill the gap. If it does that, 37 to 37.5 is where the support was before, and that's where I would almost expect it to pick back up again. But with the volume what it is on Pinterest, like, you're not necessarily going to be, I mean, whatever. Like, anyone can do what they want to do, but like, it's got a almost 10-cent spread depending on the size that you're looking at on the level one. So I want to play it pretty simple, in that if it does lose support, sit it out until at least it gets down and underneath that 38 level for a bit of a reversion, and then play trend. It's made a gap big enough that look for that volume-weighted average price is generally the way that I'm going to treat this. Let me just quickly go to the imbalances for everybody, because it's past 9:25 in here, and I want to be able to show you that we have open. Now remember, open, big mover, obviously 2 million to the buy side imbalance. BBAI 870,000. That's also a buy imbalance. QS is a sell of 500,000. Mullen, who cares? ETHA 400,000 buy imbalance. NEO 400,000 buy imbalance. Block 360,000 buy imbalance. So mostly buy imbalances, but a lot of small caps in here. Open is one certainly to watch. I guess you know what? I'll let you discuss pins, and then we can talk about open going into the open.
Yeah, sure. No, I have pins on watch. Like I talked about before, during the upgrades and downgrades, we are getting a bit of a pop above prior day's levels. So yes, Neil, that gap fill coming in at about 37 and some change. I have here specifically 37.25 is that high from after hour, or no, into Friday. So during the open market, we made that high, gapping well above that right now, trading at 38.78 with a pre-market high of 39.12. Again, let's go up to a weekly chart. Higher time frame look, I find, is always a good idea on any sort of trade idea we're trying to formulate. You can see here a push, nice little gap, pushing up higher into some of those prior levels. We talked about that $40 being interesting. What is the prior high of this structure, you may ask? That's $40.90 in and around that wick. Okay, I should probably take this off. Don't really need that anymore. But yeah, that little structure high, you can see from prior earnings is when that was, and then another maybe pit stop at 45.19 before. I don't know if we're going to get all the way back to this 89.90 highs, but we're starting to step up a little bit, curling on our way there. Let's see if this upgrade can bring some bids in through, so we can take something through that 40. That's what I'm looking for on Pinterest, Neil.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go till the open. As I mentioned, Open Door, they had investor interest from it was a lot of social media attention for open, but also investor interest coming from Eric Jackson, the EMJ. It was super strong, although it was frustrating because we looked to try to get this to break out. I shouldn't say that. Went long for it to break out in the afternoon on Friday, only to see it go a little bit in the aftermarket and now gap up. $3 has already rejected multiple times, and I'm talking exactly $3. So whether you like long breaks or you like shorting in front of size, $3 is a very, very clear level. The other thing I just want to reiterate, I know if you weren't watching the show on Friday, that 226 on Amazon just got lost again. So 226 was an absolute brick wall the entirety of the day on Amazon, right at the open, and then holding for the whole afternoon. Everybody was just sort of shorting in front of it and scalping it out. You're now back underneath 26. Underneath 26, this thing is a short until proven otherwise. And one last one, NVIDIA on watch for NVIDIA is always on watch because NVIDIA is NVIDIA, but specifically Wednesday's close at 170, right around 171. All week long, well, the last 4 days of the week anyways, 171 ended up being a key price, whether it was dip support or supply zone at 171. On any dips looking to go long at that price. Also the 169, if we even get it. Just gonna double check the imbalances here, see if anything has changed. Open is now gone. That 2 million buy imbalance is no longer there. BBAI is still a 900,000 buy imbalance. QS, a sell imbalance of 740,000. And I see NEO is still on the board, 500,000. That's been a strong stock the last little bit, NEO. Credit to NEO. For sure, it's been better than you think. Tesla going to be on watch off the open here as it's gapping to the upside. Adara, let's get that bell.
Wow, that XYZ block dropping it like it's hot. Like I said, 78. So we flush almost $1 right off of the open. 78.30s on the bid. 78.90s. Wow, that's a nasty spread stepping right back in. So yeah, this spread is absolutely wild here on XYZ. Just trying to make sure. Yeah, actually the tab is still moving. Actually, the tap is still moving, so I don't think it's open yet. That's what it is. Yeah, the tap is still moving on this one. Oh boy, 78s now. Crazy, crazy stuff. So we're seeing maybe a little bit more of what Trade Desk did off of the open on its S&P 500 ad, which is sell right off. And if you were looking for more of the same like Datadog, then yeah, definitely didn't get that with Trade Desk nor with XYZ. But guess what? IONQ is ripping to the upside. Pre-market highs as well as prior day's highs coming in at that 47.70. Currently trading at 47.50s, 47.40s. So let's see if that can break and push a little bit higher. We know the quantum space has been getting a bit of a bid. And guess what? The market also reverting that selling that we were talking about in the pre-market session. So right away, I want to ask Tesla's to the upside. Gone. Alphabet, Google, we were like, oh boy, Google might actually push. Google ripping to the upside, coming in off
Amazon
of the open
over
there.
220 as well.
Oh boy, yeah. Amazon 226 held really well right off of the open. So we saw that seller that Neil was talking about, that held offer, iceberged at 226s on Friday. If you take a look at some of the price action there, you can see a nice little barcoding, flat top action on top of that 226s.
I tried to grab it, but I didn't get it.
Where is the next trade? That's what I'm asking. I don't really see anything here as of right now. I'm watching my in-play stocks at the same time. And sure, some of them are doing what I'm looking for. Some of them definitely not. Block is one of my top ideas. There's the top idea. So I will be a little bit more patient for this one to come in here. Current day low sitting at 77.88. That spread, Neil, is nasty because sometimes it's 13, 14 pennies. At other times, it's almost 80 pennies instantly. So I don't know what's really going on there just yet, but we'll let this settle down and see where we can potentially look for a potential for a continuation. But yeah, this market is going. Tesla, is that a slam down on Tesla?
Oh, it was on Tesla. I was in on the pre-market high break, and then it rejected 36, got right back in at 35, and it just ran. No, it didn't break 334. I got filled. Sneaky Tesla. I got filled 334 on a 334 stop, which means it didn't actually break the level. So it has not broken, it never broke that 334. I guess maybe there was a dark pool print that went off. For now, that low is intact on Tesla, but it's gonna run it right now. It's running it as we speak, right back in. I want this to close above. The initial breakout got you as far as $338 on Tesla, easily the strongest of the names. So while that one's settling itself down a little bit, and if you hear rattling in the background, of course, you know the renovations are going on. Not sure exactly what that sound is. Amazon held that 226. That's where the big monster seller was all afternoon. Looks like it's holding out some strength and holding the market up a little bit as Tesla pulls back, NVIDIA pulls back as well. The other thing that's happening is the Nasdaq is about to break the high of the day there, Obi. So Nasdaq going into the highs, overnight highs, obviously. I want to get this Amazon before it gets too far away from me here.
Yeah, just watching this XYZ. Current day low 76.80, so holding 77s all right for now. So I did get a little involved in this one. Let's see if we can catch that bit of a bid. Why this level, you may ask? I mean, very arbitrary in terms of relative to the after hours or the pre-market prices, but in terms of tape, maybe some buying stepping in here. Don't know if this is going to be the low, but I want to take a stab at this. Market tailwind definitely on our side here. VWAP coming in at 78.19, I think. 78.61 I have here on my other chart. So let's see if we can get to that VWAP as of right now. Currently still chopping around this 70, high 77s, 78 area on XYZ. And IONQ, oh boy, that flush was absolutely aggressive. 47s all the way down to 45s and some change. So we'll wait for that one to see if that can potentially come in. But this market, Neil, oh boy, are we ripping to the upside. That's Apple, that is Alphabet, that is Amazon, that is a little bit of Microsoft. But oh boy, these TQs and the spider, very, very intense off of the open today.
The Amazonian one is looking very, very strong. You know what's interesting? I finally finished the Snyder Cut of Justice League, which I've been working my way through it. It's ridiculously long, and it's very good. That's an Amazon reference. You know what? I'll explain that one to you a little bit later. Amazon holding 226. I thought maybe you'd get it if you've seen Justice League. Or know what the Justice League is?
No, I know.
Okay, you know. Okay. Well, I don't know the.
I'm not a huge I like it.
Bye.
But I'm not very I guess in tune with the minutia or like the lore or anything like that of the series or whatever.
But you're in tune with school words. By the way, Amazon's now breaking out above last week's highs, 227.25. So remember, over under 26. It held 26 like an absolute champion and is breaking out in a big way. But at the same time, apologies for that disruption. See, Tesla does lose the 334. When it's going on, I got to yell a little bit. I don't know if you guys are hearing me just fine. But yeah, little construction wall on the back. Tesla loses that 334, coming right into prior highs. That's 330, 331 is the prior high. Support down around 329. That's the area I'm looking for the reversion. Initial break would have got you $2 or $3 if you scalped it out. Congratulations if you got that. And ooh, we're getting a bit of a curl here on the Amazonian one. Because you're at resistance up here, I'm going to have to take the profit out in front of last week's high. We got our trade off the 26 level, even if I didn't get the perfect price. But if we're going to start losing underneath this prior high here from last, I think that's Tuesday, I'm going to jump out, can still have a breakout at 227.5, still like the long dip back into 226. Amazon, hey, if a big resistance level like we saw on Friday gets broken, then you want to be long over it. I'll buy the dip one more time here in Amazon if we're able to get it, as the Nasdaq absolutely flying. Now I can take my first look at block. Where is it going to fill the gap into is the real question. Oh, it's already turned.
Yeah,
you're already in.
Yeah. I've been trying it a little bit here.
You've got the curl
as it pushes a little bit higher. Yeah, I mean, I'd like the reversions, you know me already, but I don't know if this is going to be it, right? That's the thing. But the market tailwind, and guess what, Neil? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm long block. Let's see if this will go, and then the market is ripping faces off all of the shorts from the morning session. So it is what it is. Sometimes you can't be in all places at once. And I was talking to Neil about this last week. It's like maybe I gotta potentially look at applications to the algo floor, because I'm just like, there's so many trades and I am physically unable to access all of them at once. So definitely becoming a little hybrid would be beneficial when it comes to that here. So block potentially coming into a little bit of VWAP here as well. So let's see if we can kind of piece off some of that one. But Fabian reminding me, guys, don't forget. We got this race thing. I don't know if Fabian, have we come up with a name for this just yet? The leaderboard. So the stock leaderboard. We're going to call this the stock leaderboard. And guess what? you are the participants who get to vote on the leaderboard. So as of right now, since this has been open, there's been 23 mentions of open, 11 mentions of NVTS. So throw up what stocks you guys want to take a look at, and we will be more than happy to do so. So throw it up in the chat. Don't forget the $sign before you throw it up. I'm going to throw mine up right now as well, and guess what? It's going to be XYZ. So right there, that's an example of how it can be done. Just check the chat, and if you can't message in the chat, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like as well, because, you know, putting in a little bit of work here. We'll be right back from Madero.
Here's NVTS. No news on NVIDIA Semiconductor today, but really nice push here off the open. Nary a red candle to be seen so far today for NVTS. Navitas Semiconductor trading about $8, kind of a smaller cap semiconductor play. Back to you.
I just want to sing Feliz Navitas. That's the first thing in my mind went. I don't even know why.
I like that.
It doesn't even make any sense, but it makes sense to me. So you saw that bottoming tail wick on Obi's chart over in block. Well, Tesla's trying to do the same thing. Bottoming tail that holds on to 331. So I've jumped in on the break of the prior bar, 332.5. I want the play back into the volume weighted average price. If we're able to get that, that'll be right underneath the 334 level. This is different from just buying it right at the 331 level to me, because I'm playing this candle rejection, like nice little curl candle that we got. The other thing that's happening is Amazon doesn't want to dip for me. Amazon goes into, looks like VWAP's going to hold. Going to shift targets here on Amazon instead of 226 again. I'll look at the volume weighted average price here on the Amazonian one, just to get back in as the market continues to go. Tesla does not hold on, and this is one thing that I want to do more of when trading in the morning, is have a really tight stop and not hold this all the way down to what I think is support at 31. Why risk $1.50 when the setup is saying I can risk 50 cents here to try and make that $2 or $3? Just keep it a little bit tighter, because you know the range can be big. And if I think we can get all the way down to like 329, then I should be very, very patient on our entries. Trend up is absolutely unabated here in the Nasdaq, and the ES also breaking out as well. But I see NVIDIA still red, as you see Tesla's weak. So the strength is coming on over here in other places, especially Amazon.
Boy.
Oh, Amazon just broke the high of the day too.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh yes.
Oh no. Well, I missed out. I know I missed out. But here, the thing is, like, where's the next trade? I'm waiting for the ask to get slapped here on block, Neil, and it's only happening on these here markets. So obviously not in the right place. But I'm waiting now. If it's gonna bid everywhere else, I'm gonna wait now for a potential reversion here on maybe on the TQs. I have eyes on the TQs, just watching that. XYZ chopping around that VWAP I was talking about earlier, holding above it well now. We were talking about that 78.60s, I think was that VWAP initially, but as we dropped a little bit lower, that VWAP came much lower into 78s and some change. So currently still holding. Let's see what I have as VWAP on my chart here. Okay, so I have a 78.45, so we're holding it pretty well. Market, oh boy, this thing is continuing to rip to the upside, Neil, and I want to see which one of these beasts is the strongest out of all of them, so we can look for a potential reversion as well. And Apple, oh boy, we literally talked about that Apple 226s, and that is a blasting to the upside right now.
Amazon, you mean?
Sorry, yeah, that was Amazon 226s, currently 227.70s. We're just ripping past those pre-market highs once again. So more strength on these here markets, Neil. Where is the VIX at? That's the first question I'm asking right now. The VIX could be a little spicy as of right now. So let's see what prices VIX is at. 1673. Okay, all right, nothing too crazy, but a little bit of a push to the upside with VIX trailing lower off of some of those pre-market levels. Oh boy, Softy as well, man. Softy was pretty heavy last Friday.
The strongest one's Apple.
The strongest one is straight up Apple. So
Amazon's is doing okay, but Apple's got the buy program on it right now. I'm just quickly double checking my bids to get back into Amazon, but there's nothing specific here on Apple. It just look, Apple closed above it broke that 212 resistance. That's the first thing you got to think about. And on the 15-minute, you got a nice rounded bottom. I think as long as it holds above 213.5, this one is good to go. But when you're at 215 right off the open, I think you're looking for an initial reversion trade. Kind of like what Palantir did off of this open. Crazy bounce on PLTR. We'll get that after we come back from Madeira.
This isn't really news on Apple, but at the very least, it's interesting. So I looked into this on X, and I guess a little bit, about 48 minutes ago, so that would have been around 9 a.m. Apparently, Tom Lee, who is, of course, an analyst, he's on CNBC a lot. Apparently, he was on CNBC saying that he thinks Apple is going to surprise people with AI. Unclear if that's what's moving this, but I didn't see any other news on it, and Tom Lee is sometimes pretty closely watched. So again, bullish opinion here on AAPL. Specifically, it's often underlooked AI coming from Tom Lee. Just want to remind you guys as well, there isn't anything massive at 10 a.m., but we do have the leading index change month over month. I'll be covering that for you guys at 10, so stay tuned. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adair. I appreciate it. And just so you know, well, I said we're going to look at Palantir. Look at the reversion on the 15-minute here. Palantir doesn't even waste any time. The last couple of sessions, there have been gifts where it'll trend down and you take the clear trend reversion, which essentially every time it's presented itself. I've tried to do it last week. We got it a couple of times. Looks like it's not even bothering with any of that here today. For myself, trying to get back to square one, which is, come on, Amazon. Like, can you at least pull back, give us the dip into the prior high? That'll be around the 227. Now that 226 is gone, I don't want to chase Apple. Wow. The Nasdaq just gapped it again.
What a rip.
Did you see the tape just now?
Yeah, I saw the tape.
Yeah, like the Nasdaq just did like an elevation, huge elevation there. Meanwhile, Tesla down, NVIDIA down, those two not doing anything for us.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I got slipped pretty aggressively there on that Apple, so I did take a little bit of a short in front of the 15. And guess what, Neil? My stop was on 88s. I got slipped to 08s, 07s. So yeah, that rip is coming in aggressively here on Apple. That buying pressure. Oh boy, that's an aggressive slip, I would say, for something like Apple as well. But it is what it is. You know, can be using some better stops as well. Ripping through that 215 so aggressively, Neil, we're already at 215.70s on Apple. So that's absolutely wild here. I wanted to pull up a chart and see if we're pushing up into some prior levels here on Apple. But let's take a quick look at that. We're already on the weekly chart, so let's take a quick look at, oh boy, that's a lot of stuff. Take all that off. All right, so prior highs coming in at 216.23s, Neil. That aggressive volume through 215, yeah. Excuse me, maybe a bit of a breakout, but haven't really reached that weekly breakout level just yet. That's coming in at 216, what was it? 216.23s, and that's from the first week of July. So month high as well, well within range of today's action here on Apple with this market aggressively pulling back. Amazon with a bit of a pullback now, Neil. Okay, all right, I see it. Let's see if this can potentially come in.
Well, I can tell you right now, just very quickly here.
Wow. Wow.
Circle.
Oh,
I'm on the bid of
God.
Amazon. We'll get that one picked up if we get it. But my goodness, Circle just did a bottoming tail at the same low from Friday at 222. And you've got higher lows into a potential breakout here on Circle, 228 and change. Remember, you guys know all of the crypto names. They were a big reversal and sell-off last week, no questions asked, after a good, strong push. So looking for a little bit of a bid to start to come back into a lot of these bad boys here, especially Circle. If it can get through 228, that's a clean breakout. But this higher low at 224 also going to be on watch for myself. Amazon, really? I didn't get that fill? That's what you're telling me? I think I missed it by about a couple of cents. But we're pulling back in here. I think I'm about to pick this one up either way. But I want to shout out to this open brought to you by Beta Pro. Beta Pro by GlobeX, everybody, is a place where savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3X daily leveraged ETFs. They feature built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the markets. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Scan the QR code you see out in front of you, link also in the description. But if you were trading to the long side on any of those ETFs, you'd be laughing this morning. It's mostly led by Apple, but hey, Amazon's trying to go along for the ride, holding on to 26, now holding on to 27, and the volume-weighted average price. I want to see if we can't get into 28. Sound a little bit like an auctioneer, which is absolutely fine. Looks like this market wants to go higher and higher and higher. It's definitely a green morning here, Obi. Oh, yeah, even NVIDIA is starting to participate in the move. NVIDIA was weak. Now it's just Tesla that's weak. NVIDIA was weak early. You can see the participation happening over there in NVIDIA. Doesn't matter where you look, everybody. We showed you Apple, Amazon near the high of the day, Meta up 1.5 points as it's absolutely blasting to the upside. There is one name I like short, though.
What's that?
It's CoreWeave. I forgot all about this. I'm not blindly shorting CoreWeave anywhere because it's the market's on a bit of a tear, and you know how the stock
look
can
at that
squeeze.
XYZ just slapped up so aggressive. XYZ just slapped up like to
nice.
79s. That's
great.
Absolutely wild there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But that's crazy. That's instant. I got to take a look at a shorter time frame on that one there. That's absolutely wild. And Apple as well, man. That flush. So we got to 215s. We got to 215s, almost 216s, and then just as aggressively as we pushed higher and squeezed, we get slapped down right back into 215s. And I'm like, okay, all right. If you're gonna do that, that's aggressive kind of action there. So even more reason for me to be like, okay, things are getting a little spicy. I want to take a look for a potential reversion here. Don't know if it's going to come in, but this action on Apple, man, absolutely wild. The way it slapped up and then slapped right back down. Market taking a little bit of a pullback here. Let's see if we can catch a breather from this aggressive bid that we've been having. Tesla finally maybe catching a bid here, Neil, but Amazon maybe a breather. Alphabet is the strongest of the bunch, I would say, still continuing to print some fresh highs. Apple got an aggressive pullback for now, but we'll see how much further this action will take us. So that's what I'm watching. Apple and XYZ, man, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought Apple was the strongest one. Maybe it's not. All right, we're still on Amazon. That's fine. But as I was mentioned with CoreWeave, I wouldn't just short it anywhere. I want trend reversions, as I was sort of saying. When you break a trend really quickly off the open, it can be tricky to grab. Clearly, I missed my opportunity getting at the 129 level. But I'd rather, in an upward trend, be really, really picky with where we're getting shorts. One thing to sit VWAP and on the bid and just get picked up on a stock that's trending up because the market's strong like Amazon. But with CoreWeave, I want some confirmation that we're putting in some lower highs. Still think this is a weak stock in a general sense. The daily chart's weak. As long as we can hold down here well underneath this gap, that's the reversion that we're looking for. That's the short action. But I want to see us hold under VWAP on CoreWeave before I pull the trigger. Let's go up to the desk. We've got Adara with some news.
Just keep an eye here on MEIP. You might remember this one because it was a pre-market small cap mover on Friday. They didn't do much intraday, pushing high here off the open. MEI Pharma, in case you missed it, on Friday morning announcing a $100 million private placement to help fund their Litecoin treasury strategy. So yet another crypto-related small cap. This is a bit of a day two play for MEI. Also, just be aware, not sure if this is going to be super market moving, but I think worth noting nonetheless. Apparently, Iranian media is reporting that there was a large fire at an oil products factory east of Isfahan. So just be aware. Apparently, a large fire reported at an oil products factory in and around Iran. Back to you.
That doesn't sound good. The treasury stocks. Everybody, all you got to do apparently is just be some kind of a Bitcoin or ETH treasury, or in this case, Litecoin, and you are absolutely good to go. Your stock will fly. Whatever it is that you did before will no longer be relevant. I'm joking, of course, but that's where we're at right now. The exuberance is out there, no questions asked. We've said it time and time again. I'd be careful with these smaller companies that just announce that they're going to be a Bitcoin treasury or whatever it might be. You get a couple days worth of a run, and then sometimes they sell off rather heavily. So just careful with those names to the upside. Look, NVIDIA didn't get down to 171. It barely broke 172 before reversing, but this is a stock that I want to be playing to the long side as long as we're holding that level. VWAP is generally the continuation play for me. That'll be pre-market lows and where we close at 172.40. Amazon still just fine. CoreWeave's starting to break back toward the high. So unless we fail at the volume weighted average price, CoreWeave up 3.5% is not something I want to fight to the short. And Scotty H, Open's going to break 3. Open is breaking 3 as we speak. So there was a seller on Open at $3 in the pre-market, and they're trying to battle through it as we speak. It's kind of going back and forth, the center two here or there. You got to close above that $3 before I would get too interested in joining that party. 3 a big time resistance level. You're seeing it fail right now, so I'm not that eager to rush into this one unless I see the buyers start to win above the $3 level. But it's a good look, at 31%. A lot of that's going to be the gap up, and we saw what it could do on Friday with its continuation. Just remember, the opening push got sold off into lunchtime, then it got the continuation. Be willing to be patient with these small cappers like this.
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to be a little bit patient. And guess what, Neil? XYZ definitely needed some patience there as it continues to chop up and push a little bit higher as we move on into the first half hour of the trading day. Almost just 5 more minutes left until some of these 15-minute candles finish printing. And oh boy, Spider continuing to push higher. Wow, man, this absolute strength in this market coming in. Funny enough, on Friday, I was like, I think we're going to have a really strong open on Monday coming into this week, just seeing how we pushed into the end of last week. And guess what? That's coming in as well. I was talking to a couple of buddies about that potential move, and guess what? Didn't really have it. But XYZ, the block is definitely hot right now. What's up, Adara?
Benign RX, Recursion Pharmaceuticals. This is a name that's pretty closely watched by retail traders. Sometimes I couldn't find any news today on RX, so they did share a social media post on Friday about a Wired article on, I guess, the drug system. Either way, RX, nothing new to explain this move. Tons of social media attention, though. We are talking meme levels of social media tags for this ticker this morning. Back to you.
Meme levels for sure. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Look, there's a lot of small ones out there that are making some moves, everybody. I see a super chat from Volcan in there, and I want to make sure we get to this. But first, I'm going to actually try to pull up XRP here. We have a couple of ETFs that don't do a lot of volume for XRP. So appreciate you and thank you for the super chat. We've talked a lot about ETH and what's going on over there is the stronger name. Solana, also a big power move to the upside, but is XRP breaking resistance? Honey P, of course it is. You better believe it. Look at the break. This is a daily chart, by the way. Consolidating, it's not through the highs, but consolidating above the prior high at 340. That's what you like to see. Consolidation into a breakout. That's a 340 bottom with a 365 top. You're inside the range now, but you're certainly in breakout mode over there. So you're 100% right about it. If you're in it, you're loving it. Just got the 228 top on Amazon. So right back into the high. It's kind of just doing this dollar thing. 226 is held, and it goes from there, kind of curls around the pre-market highs, bounces off 27 right into the 28. So I guess it's just taking it $1 at a time, and if we can continue to just buy the dip and trend trade on Amazon, then so what? Let's power it up for Amazon. Super, super strong name. Let's see if we get back into the volume-weighted average price. That's my nice red line here on the Amazonian. So curls, look, 228 held perfectly. Essentially, I have it getting right to 99 and pulling back. So essentially got to the even dollar and pulled back. Let's look for continuation on the volume weighted average price. It has broken it once, but that was in the opening rush where you give things a little bit more room. Let us know what else you guys are watching. I got Circle and CoreWeave up. Obviously Amazon looking for that VWAP. Circle did break resistance. But it couldn't get through 230. I'm going to buy this one in front of the volume-weighted average price, see if we can't get that trend to continue. And the only short I like, Obi, is still going to require a bit of patience because CoreWeave, it's not really setting up a great short at the volume-weighted average price yet. It's showing a little more weakness down here, but when this one moves, it'll move like a couple dollars at a time. Like if we break this 127.5. I guess I'm not shorting CoreWeave till we get up to the high of the day.
Yes, sir. So yeah, just watching this, watching Block and Apple as well. This action on Apple pretty aggressive, like I said earlier. That bid coming in, it's almost squeeze type action through the 215s, and a little bit of a failure to follow through of 215s, perhaps, maybe coming in. The morning bid has definitely dissipated. VWAP I have at 213.94 is currently trading on top of 214s. Just that quarter, it's 214, 25s, 214, I guess 24 by 25s right now on the level 1, and the market taking a little bit of a pullback here as well. So let's see if we can get a VWAP push. I have VWAP on my P-Pro all the way down here at 213.60s. So quite a ways away from some of those prices. Don't know if those are going to come in, but that XYZ, man, that thing is still continuing to work so well. I did not reload on this pullback into 78s. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Potential to reload was definitely there, and got lucky enough to catch some of that curl when it did come in. But we got about 10 seconds for happening now, Neil, and numbers coming up. So what's up, Adara?
As I mentioned, we do have a bit of a number coming up here. The leading index change month over month, not super closely watched. We're expecting negative 0.3 versus negative 0.1 previous. So what we get here is negative 0.3. That's exactly in line with the estimates of negative 0.3, slightly lower than the previous print of negative 0.1. Here is the Nasdaq. This one trying to consolidate here near highs. Nice push here off of these pre-market lows. So good look here for the market so far. Here's the S&P 500 looking fairly similar. Both of these indices really strong. And speaking of the index, congratulations to XYZ or Block. Obi was just talking about the ticker here involved in this trade. This name is the latest company to replace, or I guess be added to the S&P 500 index following an acquisition. Hess getting acquired here by Chevron, so XYZ will take its place as of the opening of the session on Wednesday. Then we have Verizon. Busy earnings week. VZ is one of the few names that reported this morning, along with DPZ, Domino's, as well as Cleveland Cliffs, CLF. Later this week, we'll get names like Tesla, Chipotle, Google, Intel, among others. So big earnings week on watch. Stay tuned with Trader TV Live. Before we sneak back to the guys, we have to take a moment to thank our friends at Top One Futures. Looking to trade futures like the Nasdaq, SPY, or even Bitcoin, Top One Futures is one of the fastest growing prop firms out there, and they give traders the chance to manage up to $1 million in capital. Pick your path: instant funded, challenge, or pro account, and start trading your way to real payouts and even a live account. In the last 90 days alone, they have paid out over $10 million, and they've earned over 1,000 five-star reviews from real traders. So just scan that discount code or use that discount code TTV to save on any account. Scan the QR code or at the top1futures.com. That is top1futures.com. Start trading your way to your next payout. Back to the guys.
Thank you very much, Dara. This market is continuing to push. Third 15-minute candle, Neil, and we're pushing green after green on this here market. So Google, definitely a bit of a leader of the pack when it comes to strength. Tesla, definitely not. Straight to the downside, back-to-back red candles on that one in terms of 15-minute, and that aggressive, I guess, it seems like, Neil, that Tesla hit a supply zone right off of the open. I just want to, put that out there. Even though it did break.
Yeah,
it got up to 338, and you saw how hard that slam stepped right back in. So if I'm a seller and I'm like, okay, I'm willing to get better prices for myself, why not? It's just interesting how sometimes certain types of market mechanics work. But oh boy, XYZ slapping back down to the downside, 79s all the way down to 78s, Neil. So got to be wary of this one here and maybe piece off some of that as we pull back into some of those morning session off of the open, I guess, opening range areas here. So Apple did get a bit of a bounce off of VWAP. So we came all the way down to 214s. I said VWAP was around 213.90s, and we're getting a little bit of a chop on top of VWAP here on Apple. So the question becomes, if buyers are in control on a day like today, where Apple has shown some crazy strength and we have market tailwind as well, are buyers going to step in on top of VWAP as well? A couple different VWAPs here, depending on how you're calculating it, depending on the data set as well that your VWAP is using.
And you know what?
So the P Pro, you can see our data starts off at like 6. and then
On
hold
that
some of
note,
those. Yes.
Someone was saying in the chat, Neil, Amazon bounced off VWAP, and I was like, no, it didn't on my chart. I refreshed my chart, and you were right, and I was wrong. I'm going to show you the black chart. So when I look up, these are the charts that I'm looking at. I'll show you guys the other ones, but yeah, it absolutely did just bounce off the volume weighted average price. It hadn't on my chart, but the second I refreshed it, I saw it. So that's going to be a bit of a disappointment because that's a miss to get Amazon for the third time in. I am into Circle on the trend. CoreWeave just also came into the short. I'll get to that as well. You can tell I like the number 22. Shout out to Will Clark. Circle trending up. Instead of buying a breakout, buying it off this wick trend line. Now, obviously, these are candle wicks, so I'm not going to sit there and tell you that the support has been, you can get it exactly at the bottom. Like, no. Like, it's been bouncing off these, and buying it out in front of the trend line is what I'll do. And then to break the trend, it has to get at least a decent tick underneath the 225 there. So my stop is not exactly at 225, but it's under the 225 level there on Circle. I don't want to add to this unless I see a close again above the trend line and scalp into the high. The 27 has an even dollar seller out in front, or at least it did the time before, so I want to take some out there before I'm able to get the reload. But I'm now observing a little bit of a trend line here on the 3-minute on Circle to be a bit of a joiner of that. I'm going to get out in front of 230 because that's how I roll on that stock. 225 bounce into 230 makes a heck of a lot of sense to me. And then CoreWeave, oddly enough, being long one and short the other, sometimes that happens, but they're different companies. The group can squeeze, I understand that. But when it held that VWAP 127.5, which is what I was looking for, I missed this wick where it rejected underneath, and I put my order in. I just left it, was able to get the fill. I want for sure out in front of this 126 third. Still up 3% is this name. The market's relatively strong, so I don't mind this being a scalp trade into the even dollar for $1, and then we can just go back to square one for sure. So again, Amazon still trying to pick the trend back up. That's been good. Circle is definitely flying, while CoreWeave, the only name I like short, is heading back down in, but I want to take this 26 out if I'm able to get it. Ooh, that was fast, Circle. I mean, Circle got to 230 faster than a brother could eat an apple fritter, which is pretty fast.
That was pretty fast. That was more of an inhale, if anything, Neil.
Look, man.
I looked to the left screen.
Chestnut.
I looked to the right.
Okay.
90% of that fritter was gone.
I'm just saying this. Joey Chestnut is the undisputed, fast eating champion.
I saw the hot dogs. Yeah.
First, I can't watch that. It's whatever. It's just I can't watch that. But when it comes to eating an apple fritter,
yep, nobody's beating you.
I'm him. I'm him with an apple fritter. I'm just letting you know.
Yes.
And trust me,
who do you think you are?
I am eating it slowly.
Is there competitive
I didn't want to
apple
be
fritter
gross.
eating? And if not, can we get that started by Trader TV Live?
I'm trying to keep my youngish figure. We don't need that nonsense. But we do need what we do need is a.
Thank you very much, Dara.
There you go.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Dara,
you very much, Dara.
for sure. But hey, this market's blowing it out. I keep scalping out the longs at the highs. That's fine. Circle. Where's my trend line? Whatever. It's not going to be as perfect. I drew that trend line perfectly the first time. I didn't hit save. It doesn't really matter now because you're breaking through the top. So we bought it in front of trend at the volume weighted average price. Quick. My best out was the $4 there, but I said I was getting it out in front of the 230 level for sure. So Amazon's probably, we're going to get Amazon again. Just continue to watch the trend. Amazon's pulling right back into VWAP. I don't know how much stronger this is going to be, but I'm trying to go station to station. We're able to go Amazon long. If it does it one more time, great. But when the market's at the highs, this is still pulling back. Yeah. Trying to be a little bit more patient with this. Amazon good, Circle good, but that does put CoreWeave, the only short that I took, under pressure. Yeah, didn't quite get the dip into 126. It's coming right back up. We break this 127.5. Just get out, man. If you can risk that little
on market,
on CoreWeave, fantastic. I'm looking for that buck still on this. But look, at the end of the day, Scott H is like, look at open. It's at 330. I did try to grab it. I was able to get the fill there on Circle to get that long trend. But at the same time, I just threw the order on open and sort of hoped to get that one. But I was on Circle at the time and wanted to make sure I got that long. And you're not going to catch them all. You can only have so many level 2s in there. Had I gotten filled in front of the 3, great, but congratulations. Do we have a key for that?
Congratulations!
To everybody that did get open once the buyers emerged off the $3 level. That's what it's all about here. Let's see what we got in terms of super chats. I know we got a few. Thank you, Vaughn Clark.
Ooh.
NVTS, Obi, what's happening? And Vaughn Clark again, NVTS, is no one seeing this?
Okay, all right.
Well, Vaughn, I know you're seeing it. 100 P NVTS Navi. Oh, that's Navitas. Oh, yes. I remember this one now. I remember you because this was a trend break on Friday. I think this came up and we're like, oh, nice little break of the trend on Navitas. $9 is where it's, oh my goodness. How is it every single time I pull one of these up? It's like it's right at the resistance level. I think it's right or the bag hold level, although this is not long enough to call it a bag hold level. 30 points is fantastic. Anyone out there that wants to revert this, look at the 15-minute chart. Ooh, wild. It looks like it's trying to get up to that 9 and maybe consolidate for a potential breakout here on Navitas. It's a good-looking trend. This is not typically what you'll see when we pull up these small cappers at this time of day. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter the time of day. A lot of times we'll show you a chart that's pretty much trash, but this is broken trend, pulled back, held prior highs, broken back out, pulled back, held another support level at $6, broken trend, and then broken out again. Like, it's stair-stepping it to the upside. It's almost like it's built a little bit differently for Navitas. So congratulations, Vaughn. Hopefully you got yourself a good one in there. I don't chase highs like this. It's one thing when you get something like open a little bit earlier. I cancel my order, but you know $3 is your level, wait, it confirms it's gonna hold 3 right about here, there's your bottoming tail, and then you break it on out there on open. And as circle giveth, CoreWeave might taketh away. Looks like it's gone.
Yeah, it's
not
holding.
holding.
It's starting to push a little bit.
It's starting to push, and like I might get back into circle, but CoreWeave ultimately breaking out. Sometimes it just takes a little too long to indicate that out. But broke that trend, broke the trend, but also breaking through that VWAP resistance. I had 22 short. I just got out 50 something or whatever it might have been there. So you try to keep it small if you're going against the grain. And don't let stocks off the hook if you're going with the trend. So keep the losses small if you can, but don't let these off the hook. If I want to get into circle again after it broke 30, I like saying take the stairs up, which is either the volume weighted average price, the trend line. Sometimes it's the prior high here, back around 228 as well. Whichever one comes first, and I see a long entry, you're going to see me jump back into circle and or the Amazonian. Adara?
Here's Astera Labs, ALAB. I couldn't find any news on this one today. They did get a price target increase here from Stifel on Friday. And I want to mention Open Door as well. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this during our small cap recap. But we've been trying all of last week to figure out what the catalyst was. Looks like an individual by the name of Eric Johnson, who runs a fund that's been bullish on Open Door since 2022 and losing money. I guess on Monday, last Monday, Eric Johnson posted on X to try to pump Open Door again, and he said the goal is to get it to an over $80 price target. So that's what happened. A pretty large, attempt to pump the stock over the last week. I'm going to look more into that story, but either way, that's kind of some of the details there on Open Door, which a lot of people were wondering what the catalyst on that was for the past week or so. Back to you.
Yeah, so I was waiting I took a bite out of this apple here, but you can see this apple bottom right here. I'm waiting for it to drop it down through that VWAP. 214 is holding quite nicely right now. I've been churning some shorts there after that 215. Oh boy, that 215 failure to follow through, but that VWAP holding quite well. Like I said before, if this market continues to stay aggressively strong, are there buyers on Apple? There were definitely buyers off of the open, but holding that VWAP as of right now, the average participant sitting at that 13.99 right now on at VWAP on Apple, and oh boy, there it is. So here we go, getting stopped out of that as it pushes a little bit higher. So it did not drop it down for me. I gotta come back to it maybe a little bit later. But that flush back through 15 was absolutely aggressive. So I'm gonna continue to watch this 15. And yes, Neil, that XYZ, the way it moves around.
The way she
oh boy, yeah, the way she moves definitely got me, you know, feeling some type of way here, because that VWAP hold is quite nice. The shakes that are happening on the book here are absolutely wild as well. 30 to 40, 50 penny rips and dips, but bigger picture, holding higher lows on top of VWAP. So as of right now, still holding on to the last couple of crumbles that I have left on this position.
You say the shakes and then you didn't do any kind of shake or shimmy. You gotta give them something. You got the shake?
Shake and bake?
Shake and bake. Shake and bake on pins, by the way.
80 potentially. Like, look at this. It's so nasty. I just watched it drop from 79 to 78. No, XYZ. I dropped down to 79 to 78. That was so aggressive. I was like, all right, well, if we're going to slam into VWAP like this, that's some aggressive selling. I take off a decent chunk there, and it's right back up to the consolidation highs. I'm like, all right, fine, it is what it is. I'm not going to argue with that one. If you're going to show strength on VWAP on a name that's being added to the S&P 500, I don't want to argue with that. Sure, aggressive sells along the way, but bigger picture is what we have to keep in mind here. And Apple, it seems like that 214 holding quite well. Microsoft finally taking a little bit of a pullback here as well. But I'm going to continue to keep watching this 215, Neil, because the initial sells that came in on the back through 215, those were so aggressive. If I was still short off that 215, guess where I'm putting my stops, and I want to see if those stops get hit right above that 215, only trading a quarter away from that. The market, some fresh 15-minute candles now. Let's see where we go from here. See if 215 holds as a bit of a resistance. Maybe a curl potential here on Tesla as well, as it starts to potentially catch a bid and curl off of that selling, that aggressive selling that came in off of the open.
You know what else is catching a bit of a curl?
What is?
I mean, it's like this morning, there's been all kinds of like reversals you could join. Circle was a good example of one, Amazon's initial dip, and then rip has gone. AMD, like I'm looking over at NVIDIA, and I mean, like NVIDIA is kind of, okay, let me just show you what's happening in NVIDIA. First, NVIDIA, boom, higher low, trying to put in a higher low, but also lower highs. It's forming a bit of a wedge. So higher lows and lower highs is a bit of a wedge pattern. AMD, I was reminding myself, my goodness, remember every time AMD has trended down a little bit and then reverted, it's been fantastic. And if you look at where it broke out on Wednesday, AMD, right about 156, that held on Friday. AMD, great look on the daily chart. We've been talking about how this has broken out the trend in a big way going into earnings season. What did it do? Off the open, move up like normal, and then instantly started settling into a downtrend. It didn't take all day to break that downtrend. It just did it at 10 o'clock. Look at those lower highs. Look at it hold under VWAP. And then boom, it's broken out. So the next one, if I can't get back into Amazon or Circle, which Circle doesn't look as good as it did before, then this makes some sense to me here on AMD. I don't want to be ignoring NVIDIA, but I like 171 on NVIDIA as a price, and I don't want to chase it too far, but I like this little trend break that you've got. Pull back into VWAP, and I might throw NVIDIA out, at least for the time being. Going back to some of the strength that we saw earlier, Amazon now doesn't really want to get right into some of those lows. Like you can't get 227 anymore. So it might just be 227 and a quarter where I jump back in. You heard me say Circle doesn't look as good. This was more of a squeeze. Like Amazon, whatever, the seller at 226 is gone. The market's strong. It's going to follow the market. Circle, in theory, doesn't care what the market is doing. This is a pure stable coin play. So it's a momentum play and a squeeze play more than anything else. It's got the trend. And I start to see it hold on to the volume weighted average price. That's a pretty bad rejection there at 230. But this time of day, I want to be a little bit more cautious with our entry. I got the bad end of it here, and it happened to work. Like I bought it on the way down instead of catching it on the way up the first time in Circle for the win. So if we get it again, I want to get it on the way to the upside, like on this side of the bounce on the 3-minute chart. So still the same names I like. Let us know what else you guys are watching here for sure. Sung Lang, I do put a note in the morning, like pretty much everybody does, has their own notes around here. I do publish mine and I know Obi has his watch list, and that's what we go over in the middle, in the morning. And then a lot of times we'll throw things out there reminding everybody. Like, I don't put Amazon on my trade plan note, but we did say on Friday 226 was a monster level. If you were watching the show, you couldn't ignore it. If it holds 226, I'm long. If it holds under 226, I'm short. So the first thing it does at the open is holds 226. So what do? Go long above 226. And if it did the same thing, I would have just gone short. So as long as you have a plan of action, I think you can be okay. I mean, ultimately, it also gives you something to work off of. But that's why we're pretty transparent. I'm not in anything right now because it's been scalp longs in 2 names for me, Circle and Amazon, and I did try the one short that was on my list, which was CoreWeave. I still don't mind, but this market is strong. And why fight something too hard here? It's like, why try to fight this short? It was looking pretty good, but why try to fight this short if it's just going to go squeezing on you? So as far as I'm concerned, you want to jump into some long trades. Parizo Perry, what about Rigetti? I actually canceled my breakout order. It was pretty simple for Rigetti. If it broke out, and I'll take this any day this week. We break out this consolidation high in Rigetti, I'm taking it. Once we're underneath 17 again, I cancel my breakout order. It's just a rule of mine that I have. I don't want to be sitting with an order to break out this when it's too far away. Because that just means it'll travel like a couple of percentage points and then break out. That could get you trapped in a bad break. I'd rather it consolidating or tighter to the high. But I still like Rigetti for this breakout. But the thing about a breakout trade as a plan, it doesn't mean you buy it at every single price. Because I want it breaking through resistance. I still like Rigetti if it can do it. But unless we get all the way down into a reversion bottom, we had this long on Friday into 16, then I'm waiting patiently for the breakout. Always have a plan of action, and don't hesitate to sit on the sidelines till it sets up. And ultimately, that's worked so far here today. Adara?
Here is the IWM to start off our small cap recap. This is not doing anything too crazy this morning. We basically open, push up off the pre-market lows, make a bit of a double top, and right now we're kind of coming right back down. So this is very, very distinctly different, to borrow a term from Obi, compared to what we're seeing in the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, which both pushed off fairly strongly at the open. First name here I mentioned earlier, RX. No new catalyst today for Recursion Pharmaceuticals. On Friday, they shared this post here about a feature in Wired and basically talked about how, I guess, as a company, they're trying to find better ways to develop medicines. Either way, other than this promotional post going back to Friday, no news on this one, but a 35% short float, which is certainly notable. Speaking of short floats, GPRO, this name is a penny stock trading just under that $1 level. No news, but about a 10% short float. Last but not least, I alluded to this earlier, but Open Door OPEN actually did have a catalyst that I kind of just discovered. Last Monday, we had Eric Jackson, who is, I guess, the leader of EMJ Capital. It's a fund that is run out of Canada. He posted about how he thinks that OPEN could be a 100 bagger, to use his quote, over the next few years. He's giving it an $84 price target, and he's comparing it to early Carvana. So Eric Jackson, who apparently has been involved in the stock for several years, is trying to pump this one higher. Open Door did actually have its best weekly performance ever, apparently last week, up around 190%. So OPEN very much still on watch. Now we actually have a reason as to why it's running, and that is interest and a lot of social media pumping here from Eric Jackson. For the record, the post that he made last Monday that led to this spike has over 372,000 views right now on X. Back to you.
Well, good luck with that one, Eric.
Thank you very much, Dara.
I got to use that button a lot more often. I got to get quick with using it. Thank you, Dara. Apple back above 215s. All right. I was like, you know, my stop was where was my stop? My stop was at that's the thing. My stop was 87s, I think, 87s, 88s, something like that, in the 80s, and I had slipped about almost 20 pennies, 15, 20 pennies on a name like Apple. I'm like, all right, well, that's exciting. It's exciting stuff. So let's move on to the next trade here.
There's a stock coming to a level I know you like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I see. That's looking a little lucid there with how clear that level is showing up. So let's take a quick look at that one there, Neil. Thank you for pointing that one out. Apple I'll come back to you a little bit later. You deal with that 215 how you want, and print those I guess highs and lows so we can get involved maybe a little bit later. But LCID, let's take a quick look at this one here at $2.87. Let's pull that up again. So selling aggressively off of the open, giving it back. This catalyst came in last week of them taking a bit of a partnership with Uber. So that was pretty good. Initial reaction was pretty good. Let's see what we have printed over the last week. So I did have an anchored VWAP on this one, so I'm going to pull that up. Right here, it should already be on there. There you go. Boom. Wow, look at that. Nice little rejection of that anchored coming in right off of the open, kind of showing us that maybe sellers are in charge on the day today. But take a look at this. That low, I think, was 83, if I'm not mistaken. 83 is that low, currently trading at 86s. I'm going to be patient. I'm not going to do anything until that 83 potentially comes in or something happens on the book here on top of it. But we'll wait and see. Definitely coming into some of those prior levels. Seems like Softy is poised for a bit of reversion as well, Neil.
A lot of things are poised for opportunities, and where you can take advantage of maybe some swing trading opportunities is Trade the Pool's swing trading programs. You can get access to up to $40,000 in buying power to trade real shares, not CFDs. You can hold positions overnight, over the weekend, and enjoy limited risk. That's thanks to a one-time evaluation fee. No monthly payments, no hidden costs. Take Vincente J, for example, one of Trade the Pool's swing traders. He's already locked in $23,000 plus in profits. His top performer was NMAX. He shorted it from April 20th to May 30th and pulled in a $6,700 gain. Trade the Pool is giving swing traders the tools, the time, and the capital to thrive. Scan the QR code and learn more and check it out. Enjoy 10% off by scanning that QR code. Thank you to Trade the Pool for that. Speaking of opportunities, all right, Amazon, I don't want to miss it this time if it gets, we did look, the open dip was our confirmation at 226 held, but I did miss this dip here at about 10 o'clock into the volume weighted average price. As it starts to head back in, I want to be able to grab this again. If we hold 227, it's good. 227 and a quarter is where the volume weighted average price is. Super strong stock here is Amazon. The other one, looking up, Circle. Circle might have gotten away from us here. Amazon, the priority to get back into, is flipping over to AMD. Going to cancel that VWAP. When it was coming back into the volume weighted average price, what ended up happening on AMD is it held 158.5 exactly. It just held the $0.50. So if we pull back, this just seems a little stronger than, NVIDIA is strong too. NVIDIA is up 0.3%, AMD is up 1.4%. On days where AMD is stronger, I want to be in that one. And I'll pivot pretty quickly if that's going to be the case. So still haven't gotten back into that Amazon trade, but hey, we're happy to have it. We just can't be missing those VWAP trades when we get there. Going to get my AMD bid. I'm going to circle on back to Circle at some point, but I do not want to ignore what I see a lot of people talking about in the chat. Another all-time high. Oh, wait, am I right about that? Oh, hey. No. Okay, not yet.
Not yet.
I got a little
there.
I got a little ahead of myself here. I saw us above 155, and I actually thought Palantir had made another all-time high. In fact, it's got 50 cents maybe to go till it breaks another all-time high, but the trend is your friend on Palantir, and the trend is to the upside like it is with the markets. So yeah, hopefully I didn't jinx it. If it doesn't break it today, then feel free to blame me for Palantir not getting to another all-time high. It'll be entirely my fault. If this ends up being the high of the day on Palantir, that'll be pie in my face.
I mean, yeah, I think we should wait for it. Palantir. Last week, I was saying, prints a fresh high almost every day, like a fresh
more or less,
high, more often than not. And that's what it's been doing for the past few weeks. So you saw me one of those days where I was like, so we were talking about this on Friday as well, and a lot of trying to find, I guess, reason in the market noise is to identify mispricing.
Yes.
Right, and sometimes I have an issue with looking at mispricing on the wrong time frame, and when you're day trading, that can be a disaster, right? For example, that Palantir trade where I was like, I have very, very strong conviction that this is going to print some fresh highs today just based off of how the weekly and the hourly is setting up. And you saw, I bought every single price from 149s to 140, 148s, 147s and some change. Because in my mind, I was like, even though I know as an intraday, like I'm not executing effectively, in the back of my mind, I'm like, all of this is mispriced, in a sense, based off of what I think the value of this asset is going to be later on in the day. So it's like figuring out. So it's like, okay, that's a great idea. Sure, it could come into fruition or not, but the execution at the end of the day is the only thing that matters. Is going back to that. It's just like sometimes the time frame that you're looking at moves to happen. Sure, they're high probability, but if I'm looking at it on the hourly, why am I expecting it to push and work in the first 15 minutes of the day?
That's the thing.
Right? That's the thing.
Especially because Palantir is notorious for selling at the open and then trending up later on. Like that's what the stock has done it so many times that it's almost like you want to anticipate that it's just going to happen. And in the days that it doesn't, that's fine. If the stock does something 4 days in a row and you buy the dip after Palantir reverts 4 days in a row and on the 5th day you lose, who cares? Because ultimately it's been just great for you. While now NVIDIA wants to go and break out those highs. Okay, if we're not going to get VWAP AMD, start holding that 159 and we can jump over to that. There was just a halt now on PMN. What is this thing? Promise Neurosciences. So we got a dollar stock halting. Ooh, this was 180 million shares, up 200%, and it hasn't broken the high of the day yet, just bounced off the bottom weighted average price, and it did the dollar defense. So dollar defense, higher low at VWAP, halted to the upside. This will be a volatility halt on PMN here, so it should be open in about, it's only been a minute, so like 4 minutes, it should be open. Ooh, it's 134, so it still has to break out, but 145 in here would look like the big resistance. Call it 150 would be the big resistance level. So it's got that to take out, which would have to take out the high of the day. This gets spicy. If this stock can get through the 150, I think it's got some serious juice. It still has over 10% to go, and in 4 minutes we'll be able to check it out. NVIDIA's strong. Amazon doesn't want to let me back in, but it just rejected 228 again. That was our best exit. So there's a rejection at 228. This should head us back either for a retest of VWAP, or I'm just going to sit there. Whatever. I'm just going to sit out in front of it and get swept up. Plenty of liquidity in Amazon. We'll be fine. Or if we're just going to hold these highs, maybe take a shot. If we don't end up pulling back, I'll just take the rebreak of the high of the day here on Amazon to jump back into the trend. As long as you're above 226, I like this thing long one way or another. Adara's got morning, so whoa, 100,000 on the offer at 04s here on Amazon.
Whoa, on Amazon?
Yeah, Adara?
Let's look into PMN for you guys. There was actually some news on this morning. Apparently they received FDA fast track designation for one of its drugs. So that's the news with PMN. Not, as Sharif always says, it doesn't always necessarily matter with these small caps, but for some context, they do have a positive FDA related catalyst. In addition to this move to the upside, they're also still below their pre-market highs. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. So like right as we were going to Adara, there was a seller on Amazon at I think it was 04s, right? Yeah, whatever I said. It was above 228 even. It wasn't at the even dollar for 100,000 shares just sort of sitting on the book. What that'll look like look at this. So you get like a few hundred shares here or there. So there was like 1,000 lot, right? So that's 100,000 shares just sitting there and got filled one time the second it was on the level 2. I just hit in the second I saw that happen. I'll give it to the prior high here. Like this bar works out to this prior level. That's 227, about 85. So we're risking about a quarter, not even a quarter on the top break. I prefer dip buys at this time of day into a stronger market. Like I always much rather be long down here. But if this is going to break away on Amazon, I've been waiting for this thing to actually give you like that big 3, 4, 5% type of day on this run up so it can retest the high. And I want to be playing the longs as long as this trend continues on Amazon. But with a top break instead of a dip buy, very, very tight stop for me. And if we get to VWAP, I'll take another shot at it one more time here. So Amazon looking pretty strong, AMD, NVIDIA looking good. The Nasdaq is absolutely churning. Like this is what we look like on a 15-minute on the Qs. on the Nasdaq futures, it's less than 1%, but there's been no real slowdown. ES, more or less the same thing, only 0.6 to the upside. And I'm sure we'll find out in a few minutes from Adara when we do Sector Watch why exactly we're lagging a little bit. We got big earnings coming out later on this week with obviously Tesla. I do this because Tesla wasn't all that strong this morning. And of course, Alphabet. And then if you care, Intel reports as well this week.
Yeah, I think, again, definitely ones to watch out for. Oh boy, there goes XYZ coming back down. So I have barely anything left. Just going to keep on the runner to see if we actually hold that day low or not. But Apple has been aggressive to the, I guess, to the chop side. We went up, we went down. Right now, I think most of what's happening is straight chop. And Tesla continuing to flush as well, Neil. So yeah, that Tesla, like I said, I gotta trust my stuff even more. Some of the indicators and some of the strategies I potentially have. But that Tesla coming in so beautifully right off of the open, selling and only selling. I was talking about this pre-market range. Sure, off of the open, we break the highs, but a lick grab of those highs, pushing right back in on the second 3-minute candle and breaking not only this local low from the pre-market, but the 4 a.m. low at 333s. So 333 was that low, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just make sure what that was. The low of this candle is 332.88, so pretty much 333s there and flushing even more aggressively to the downside right now. The only one in the Mag 7, I haven't looked at Meta. Okay, there you go. Meta is really strong. Okay, here we go. But the only one in the Mag 7 that is selling off aggressively. Everything else is being bought up in the Mag 7 as of right now. Tesla, distinctly different, but here's a SPY coming in with a little bit of selling. We've only had back-to-back jacks when it comes to green 15-minute candles, and oh boy, has it been beautiful to the upside. So if anybody is long and strong right now on these here futures, let us know in the chat. And oh boy, I would love to have a conversation with you. Yeah, no, Meta very, very strong. Let's see what else. What are you guys saying? PMN. Yeah, that's that stock. That's that dollar break, right? Oh boy.
It halted. So it broke that 150. Is this one? But the problem with this PMN, it broke the 150, then instantly halted at 154. So beautiful. Remember, the thing about these really cheap ones, it doesn't have to move very far before it goes into a halt, which makes it a little bit frustrating to trade. If you're trying to get long in this, like it breaks and then goes instantly. You can get the halt price on the bid, but like you can't hit the ask, obviously, when it goes into that halt. It's indicating a 153 open on PMN, so a little bit of it's indicating a flat open in here. We'll give it, what do we have? At least a couple more minutes before it goes to before it opens again. Another small capper. This NVTS, this is really just, I mean, it's pummeling the shorts as we speak. 37% to the upside, and what a trend this thing is on. It just finally broke out on the daily, so it's now through this resistance at about 9 and change on NVTS. You can see this one continue to churn. AMD, while Amazon didn't give me the dip, but I ended up taking the top break in AMD. I don't want to be in simultaneously too high of the day breaks. I might sit out AMD 160 and look for the dip if it fail breaks. I'm already in Amazon at the high of the day, and at a time of day where usually I'm looking for mean reversions off the top.
Yes, sir. So another great place to potentially look for mean reversion setups is eSignal. Traders, listen up. First month free. That's right. We are waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable, real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description, guys. So check our friends out at eSignal. Apple potentially finally coming back in, man. This market, I'm looking for that market tailwind. Apple super strong, consolidating sideways. Market super strong. Let's see if we can catch the reversion on the market here as Apple pulls back into its VWAP. But VWAP is where we've been finding buyers long and strong pretty much for a decent chunk of the morning session. It's about 10:38 almost, so an hour and 8 minutes off of the open. Oh boy. As Apple been pretty crazy here. The volatility on Apple has been absolutely wild. Haven't seen anything like this last week. So yeah, just gonna continue to take some chops off of this one as it shows me more and more of what I'm looking for. But that 215 area, that was definitely the spot, Neil. That was a spot to get involved and stay involved as Apple came in aggressively through that market. Don't know if it's going to pull back just yet, but I'm watching the spider. I'm watching TQs as well. I'm watching some of these Mag 7s to see if and when some of those sellers may start to exchange hands with the buyers who've been in charge. But let me know what you guys are trading in the chat. Also, don't forget, guys. You guys, where's that thing right here? So I gotta pull it back out. Did I close it? No, it's right here. So the leaderboard. Don't forget, guys. We're still keeping track of what stocks you guys are mentioning in the chat. Currently, Open Door still the leader, so we can take a look at that one first. MVIS, NVTS, Tesla, Galaxy, that's another one. Galaxy Holdings and AMD. Oh boy, let's see how that money destroyer is doing. So make sure you throw it up in the chat. Yes, Tyler Verse, $ drill is definitely to the upside right now, as I'm pretty bullish on that one. But let's take a quick look at Open Door, and then I'll pass it over to Neil to take a look at some of the other names you guys are continuously voting on in the chat. PMN, oh boy, open once again, $1.50. Some of those highs coming in at 57s, breaking those as of right now. Market taking a little bit of a pullback. Let's take a look at what Open is up to. Open Door, okay, we did get that continuation. A lot of people looking at this name as of last week, breaking that dollar level, stair-stepping up, aggressive push, pre-market lows, holding prior day's highs. That is definitely a little bit of strength, and oh boy, does that strength come in right off of the open as well, bringing that trade into fruition. I guess I'll check NVTS as well, and then I'll pass it over. NVTS, oh boy, look at this one, Neil. Navitas Semiconductor, it is insane. I am drooling because guess what? When and if those sellers kind of stop, I definitely want to be involved. What's up, Adara?
What's up, Obi, is a lot of these sectors. Retail trade really strong. Walmart, Amazon, and Home Depot all to the upside. We have lots of strength as well in communications. Verizon still up this morning after earnings despite dropping a little bit pre-market. Then we also have TMUS and AT&T. All three of these tickers are reporting earnings at some point this week, so keep an eye on the sector. Utilities really strong. Transportation strong. Process industries strong. Non-energy minerals also strong. Finance, we have a little bit of strength here. We've got Visa, MasterCard, and Bank of America to the upside, and Coinbase actually up about 2% here. Now let's get to these tech sectors. Qualcomm, weirdly one of the strongest of the bunch here in electronic technology, though Broadcom, Apple and AMD are all also to the upside. NVIDIA only slightly green. Then in the technology services side of things, Google up more than 2%, preparing for its earnings report after the bell on Wednesday. Meta up about 1%. Palantir, Netflix, both green on the day as well. So definitely some mixed performance here across the board, but generally a lot of these sectors are going to be trying to push higher. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Healing pain naturally. Oh boy, indeed. That Apple flush finally coming in, and guess what? I had the most on my initial entry, and then I had pretty much the same on the back through 215, and I started sizing down, and then when I have the least, that Apple bottom finally dropping it down and breaking through that 214s. Oh boy, we're coming back in. About a 50% retracement now of this aggressive leg that we've had off of the open in the market. Seems like it's taken a wee bit of a pullback. Again, I'm watching SPY, I'm watching TQs. I do want to get involved, but like I said earlier, where, if at all, did you guys get involved with the market long this morning? I want to know. Throw it up in the chat. How did you get long this market? What stock? What ticker? Throw it up in the chat. Let us know I'm just continuing to watch this Apple because oh boy, I was like, this is some.
Could have been anywhere.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
Hughes,
but
Apple,
Tesla
Amazon,
was.
It's Tesla's the only one.
I had to stick with Tesla with my idea. I was just like, I looked over at Neil. I was like, I should probably be short this pre-market.
That move.
Yeah.
It was true.
It was so nasty.
Yeah, but if you were short pre-market, you probably got stopped out.
You probably got stopped. That's fine.
Because the initial break was good, and then once it gave it up, it tried again at 332, but like that's the only long that didn't work out here today in a general sense. I just got out of Amazon on that. It just, the breakout trade at that time of day, it didn't really go. I think it went in the money maybe 15 pennies at the most. So we get about 1 to 1 out. I don't want to rejoin it up here again. Let's wait for the dip buy like we were doing before on Amazon. CoreWeave might have curled without me. Whoops, that's Blue Ocean. There's CoreWeave. CoreWeave went right to the 131. Like this is pretty much exactly where the opening range failed. So when I saw that, I tried to get it right through the 131 to go short. The only places I wanted it short were right in here. If we had gotten it 27 to 28, which we did have at VWAP at the time, but unfortunately did miss that push. I'm leaving my orders in to see if I can't get picked up to stop out at the prior bar as the market just incredibly strong, but it's not everywhere that's participating in the same way here. I do want to go back over, if I can, to Circle. And I say if I can, because my chart's better now. Yes. All right, so Circle. Earlier on, just to give you an idea of what I was looking at, I got to fix this. Yeah, it's way better. Earlier on, Circle holding trend. It's now away from VWAP. I traded it once off essentially just one dip trend line. It's now holding it on top of VWAP. Looking pretty solid, lower highs, lower lows, but it's forming a bit of a wedge pattern. So there's your lower highs, there's your lower lows. When it's doing this, and I don't want to just be sitting long inside of the wedge. I want it to break the wedge up to get long. One more time, 3% up, and you know this sucker can squeeze. ETH is having another. The other thing when I look at this, I want ETH to be strong because as far as I'm concerned, Circle's, it's just a pure squeeze play on the stablecoin stuff. So ETH, of course, that's where the stablecoins are built on the ETH platform. If this is strong, then I like the long and squeeze a heck of a lot better in Circle. It was a bit of a nothing, I don't want to say nothing burger, more of a sell than use type of event on Friday for all of the crypto-related crypto week names. But that just means it has a long way to go. But I want to see us break this wedge before I get back in. ETH is breaking out, so I don't know why we can't break away from this in here. And everybody, I get it. I know it's, you guys can hear the construction going on behind us. Lots and lots has to get done before we have the final product. So just bear with us in here, of course. And at the end of the day, I was like, oh, why can't it happen in the evenings? So TraderTV Live is we're in the ground floor of a condo building, which if you live in a condo building, you know. There's certain times you can and can't do construction. Nobody wants to hear this upstairs when they're coming home from work, so this is when it has to get done, and we appreciate your patience. So I'm going to try to get, Circle is now breaking this as we speak. See how I'll go from like yelling to hopefully quiet, so it's not busting your eardrums. Circle's now breaking, so instead of just being long out in front, it's now broken this little bit of a wedge. Don't run too far. I don't want to have to chase this too far here. All right, let me just slide in at 60. Come on, let me fill, give me a fill, give me a fill, give me a fill, give me a fill. Oh, give it to me, give me the fill. Not going to chase any further. If I want it here on this break of the wedge and my stop, there you go, I just got 63. I didn't want to have to give it any more than underneath the bottom of the wedge, so chasing it too far past the 230.5 just doesn't work risk to reward. I just heard Open Door just made another high. So I'm going to get my stop in. And if we lose this wedge completely, I think we're headed right into the volume weighted average price. So my stop goes out under. We don't end up closing above the wedge. If we do, I consider adding to it. So I like this trend break. I want to see if we can get to 232 and then maybe run even higher. You guys know how much this stock could go if this actually holds this break. I think you could easily see 240, 245, but I'm taking it one step at a time here on Circle.
So yeah, definitely one to watch out for is that circle. Market taking a little bit of a pullback, so I did get involved here on the TQs. Let's see how that works out. First sign of sellers really stepping in here. We've got back-to-back red candles now as well on the 15-minute, giving us some more confluence. But again, we could just make a higher low and continue that strength. Absolutely aggressive, all the way from 23,200, 20s, I guess, 32,200s, all the way to 23,420. So almost a $200 push here on that Nasdaq futures, and I guess a similar kind of a push on ES as we pull from, was it 63.40s to the 63.70s highs on the day today on the ES. XYZ still holding up pretty well. A bunch of people were posting how they got long in the market, and I was reading some of those chat replies, and yeah, good trades, guys. Some people were like, oh, they got long on Google or Apple, or I think somebody said Pan W as well. Didn't take a look at Pan W, so let's pan over to that one and see if that'll come in handy. Wow, NVTS, Neil. Oh boy, seems like I might have missed the ideal sells on that one, but let's take a quick look at Pan W at the same time. Palo Alto. Why is this familiar? Well, it's a familiar stock, but like we traded it last week. No, I know, but as of recent, I feel like I traded, well, it might have been this flush here, this aggressive sell-off. Yeah, day two continuation, but holds and then starts to revert back in. 200 holding as of right now is a bit of resistance. 290 is the day high on Pan W. So yeah, good stuff. Getting long on Pan W. Some of these names absolutely aggressive. Let's take a quick look at what did the most volume. And oh boy, it makes sense why everyone's talking about Open, Neil, because the stock that's done the most volume in the U.S. market as of right now is Open Door, coming in at 406 million shares.
It's going to do $1 billion.
Yeah, it's not even 12 o'clock yet. It's an hour and 20 minutes off the open. It's going to be, it's very likely to do 1 billion shares by the end of the day. Not even half day, and it's done close to $500 million as of right now. Lucid, Neil, holding that 83 really, really well, but about a penny. It has not reverted just yet. But we'll continue going through this list right after we're back from Madeira.
Every time it seems like the U.S. dollar is going to turn things around and revert back to the upside, it decides not to. We did get actually decent performance last week. Then we end up having two topping tail candles around that 99 level on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. Friday, pretty flat. And today we are back to the downside, trying to actually take out our low of day from Wednesday. However, this Wednesday low of day could be interesting. We've now kind of based out around this level twice, that 97 level. So if we can kind of hold that 97, this could potentially form to be a bit of an inverse head and shoulders on the US dollar. That is, of course, if you're into these chart patterns, we'll have to wait and see how that manifests, but pretty interesting look here for the DXY. Here is the CME Fed Watch tool. About 95% of participants are still not seeing any kind of rate change in July. That meeting now is somehow only 9 days away, so time really does fly. About 56% of participants are expecting a cut of 25 basis points if you look ahead to the meeting in September. And what's interesting is here, ahead of these Fed meetings, we do have more pressure being applied by the administration. Bill Pulte, who is, of course, leading Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, is continuing to apply pressure to the Fed. We now actually have the Fed, apparently they have a video on their website guiding everyone through their renovations, because their renovations to their building have caused a lot of uproar. And I guess now the Fed is trying to guide people, I guess, through the renovations on their website to try to avoid some of that backlash. So Fed-related conflict still very much on watch. Let's see, though, if any of this drama actually results in a change come the July meeting. It seems like we're still not going to get that cut till September. As you send you back to the guys, make sure to like and subscribe.
People actually care to watch a video about the renovations at the Fed? To each their own, man. Wild. Whatever floats your boat, and I understand yeah. Anyway,
do you share the same building with the Fed?
I know, but it's just like, who would?
That's funny.
I don't know. I guess if you're into, you know what? Whatever. I'm not even gonna try to rationalize that one. To each their own. But it is a hot topic because obviously the whole fire for cause thing, certainly, it was the first notion of that came with this whole, hey, but you said this is what is going to get spent on, and this is what's going to be in the building, and this is what's not, and if you were lying. But at the end of the day, the Fed doesn't use public funds, technically speaking. That's a big technicality, by the way.
Don't they print money?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They get to print money, so technically speaking, they are. See, when they say the Fed...
we need some renovations. Let's just print some money.
We got to get on this.
So we got to get on. We got to.
Anything the Fed makes is off of their money printing at the end of the day. And they've been empowered to print money, which is what caused inflation for everybody else because, so essentially, if they go over budget, they're just taking it out of your pocket indirectly. It's not like taxes, but it's taxes. Okay, so it does matter. Anyways, nobody
taxes
cares
with
about
more
that.
steps.
Circle, got a slap to fail on the second trade in Circle. As it tried to break the trend, but it did not. I wanted to get it still could do it, and if it does, I still think there's room to 240. But when I see it lose that wedge, I got to jump out and wait for the next opportunity. I do see what's happening over in ETH as well. Like it's holding the highs, but it's starting to curl a little bit. Oh no, CoreWeave just went again. CoreWeave took a second stab at CoreWeave on a trend break. So CoreWeave broke trend, got in, and then it just took out it was a prior bar on like a 15-minute, but now that's starting to go. So it's going from CoreWeave to from Circle to CoreWeave to the upside. Right now, the market is kind of pulling back, which made a lot of sense for me as the market pulled back. I want to take my shot at the short trade there. 5 minutes to go in here. But still had nothing on Amazon. Like for now, I mean, Amazon's it's still been top dog for me, but now it's not really doing anything at those highs. Waiting for Circle to start squeezing again is going to make a lot of sense. Johnny123 or anyone, if you happen to just be tuning in now and you haven't noticed, of course, we have some construction going on as we're renovating the studio. So they're cutting through some pipes. It just needs to get done, and so we're getting it done, everybody. And we appreciate you guys sort of bearing with us through all of that. We do appreciate the patience. And yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It has to happen. There were those, they're gone. Oh, the pipes are gone already. Oh, yeah. Boom, like the two massive pipes that were like the big eyesore.
They've already relocated them.
They've already
see it on the edge of the screen there.
So, yeah, you can kind of
just on the edge, that shiny edge right over here. Boom, there you go.
There it is.
That's one of them right there. But yeah, nice.
Finish the job.
All right, so as these guys are playing music out loud,
what are you listening to?
What's
Sharif is literally listening to music to get pumped up for the show.
What song was that? After by The Weeknd, let's go. I was like, I heard it and I was like, I hear The Weeknd, I hear The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Let's go, I love The Weeknd. I was actually listening to...
I love The Weeknd too, it's just...
I had Wanderlust on playback on the drive-in today, so I was like, Wanderlust, oh my God. You know what's funny? One of the comments on YouTube described The Weeknd absolutely beautifully. The voice of an angel, the lyrics of the devil. I think the voice of an angel, the lyrics of the devil. I think that's a great way to kind of describe his abilities. So yes. What's going on, Randy? Randy, you listen to The Weeknd at all? The artist, yeah? Every now and then,
Weeknd, of course.
Yeah. His old stuff definitely a lot better. Yes. Definitely a lot better. He had the whole time where he switched up his kind of style when he cut off his hair, and I call it the Hera, because he had the distinct hair. Remember, if you remember The Weeknd, he had very distinct hair.
Blinded by the Lights was probably my favorite track.
Beautiful, beautiful. Blinded by the Lights. Can't Feel My Face. That's a good one. He's an absolutely amazing artist, and the message in his music, some of his music videos, and how they build a bigger story. He's an artist. He's definitely an artist.
The best track out there right now is Drill Baby Drill by Trader TV Live.
Oh yeah.
We're coming.
Boom.
Drill Baby Drill, Trader TV Live. The mixtape is in full effect, everybody. That's what it's all about.
We're trying.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying.
I know.
It's got a nice beat to it.
Yeah.
It does.
You probably don't want to listen to it all day, but it's got a nice beat to it.
It does.
I don't know about
someone's gonna.
I'm trying not to eat all of them.
I've ate 3 so far.
No,
2 or 3.
What do you mean?
Thank you.
They're not gone, are they? Well, that means I'm trying
Not yet.
really hard not to eat them all.
I mean,
There's like 3 left.
Neil, with the way you inhaled the fritter, I would be surprised if I look over, look back, and they would be all gone. And then, it'd be like, oh, I don't know, the fly took it or something.
Not my fault. There is a stock drill, by the way.
Yeah, it is. There is.
Lannister Mining Corp. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, never mind. It must be delisted. There used to be a stock named Drill. It doesn't matter. The only stock that's... See, what's happened... I was going to make a pun about what Open was doing to short sellers using the word drill, and then I realized what the chat would do with that if I said it out loud. So just, you know what I was going to say, but I stopped myself, so don't at me. Open is at 370 and still going. It's an absolute freight train. Is breaking it's breaking short SPACs. If you're long the stock, I guess you're absolutely fine. Let's go over to Adara. We've got some breaking news.
I just saw this coming through on X. Keep an eye on RDDT. Apparently, Reddit COO, Chief Operating Officer Jennifer L. Wong sold $4.7 million worth of Reddit shares between $139.15 and $145.90. So yeah, apparently she sold these shares. Looks like a while ago based on the price. But either way, just keep an eye on this RDDT. Looks like there was, I guess, a filing that shows a share sale from the company's COO. Back to you.
Oh boy. So what was that drill pun you were saying? Something about shorts were openly getting what?
No, that's you said that, not
right.
me.
Oh,
Don't
sorry.
try to put words in my mouth, Obi.
On open.
Look, you said it, I didn't say it.
The longs are opening up, I guess. No, they're actually, they're opening they were opening their positions, I guess. They're definitely in charge on the day. The buyers are definitely in charge.
I'm leaving that one completely
Amazon
alone.
is about to push some fresh highs. 218.19 is the high a day. It's currently trading at 228.19. It's currently trading at 228.05s. But with the market taking a little bit of a breather, I'm asking, is Amazon really going to give us that strength? That 226 hold, absolutely beautiful. Prior day, ice baby on top of on the ask on 226s. We finally reclaim that, hold that. Resistance turns into support. Classic example of that phenomenon, if you want to call it. Amazon looking absolutely beautiful
at
here.
280.
All right, guys, don't forget. It's about 11 o'clock. Continue voting because I'm seeing that Open continues to be the top stock on the day. And don't forget, $ in the chat with the 3 or 4 letter ticker, or sometimes 2 in the case of QS or AMD there. So definitely Open, it deserves that spot as it is the 100%. Highest volume traded on the day. So it 100%. Makes sense that a lot of people are voting on that. Definitely a lot of people involved. So we'll reset this at some point so we can take a fresh look for the evening session. But as of right now, this is how it stands. In the morning, Open was mentioned twice as more than any other stock. I guess the two other second up runners are NVTS and MVIS.
It's a small cappers kind of morning. Well, I mean, the market's doing great, but the small cappers have been absolutely ridiculous. I know somebody who was already in a couple of those. They was just listening to the weekend to get pumped up. It's Professor Sharif and Joey Options. We'll be back at 2, but let's kick into some small cap trading and some talk about crypto for sure.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.